investor with an image of a Discord build featuring integration with a couple crypto wallet apps. Then, the Discord community exploded, threatening to cancel Nitro subscriptions to avoid encouraging pyramid schemes that destroy the environment. Do they mean Ponzi schemes?
That's different, actually.
You gotta get your schemes right.
That's a different scheme.
I know. And check out Investopedia. A couple days later, Citron tweeted that his original image showed an internal concept that Discord has no plans to ship. And for now, they're focused on protecting users from spam, scams, and fraud. The Holy Trinity. Evil. So Discord users don't have to worry. I mean, if Discord does ship an NFT version, you can just right-click it. That takes away its power, from what I hear. Now it's time for Riley number 2. Now it's time for Quick Bits, brought to you by Made In professional quality cookware and kitchenware. Look. Maybe you've been burned by your past cooking attempts, literally. Supposed to grab the handle, not the... But Made In wants everyone to be able to make restaurant quality attributes heat easy, or click the link from the primordial soup. Speaking of superfluous pixels, Google accidentally pushed a nearly 2 gigabyte update to Pixel phones running Android 12 this week that was completely unnecessary because the update was the Android 12 build they were already running. Hold on to your Ryzen CPUs because a new cryptocurrency called Raptorium can be mined most effectively on CPUs with large L3 caches like AMD's Ryzen, Threadripper, and EPYC processors. As if there weren't enough things keeping tech products out of consumers' hands, now we may be looking at a new wave of scalpers targeting Team Red.
Because you just told me to go and buy it.
Oh no!
You're part of the problem.
Whoopsies, ooh. Apparently mining difficulty for the coin is going up with earnings going down, so hopefully these raptors get thrown off the scent soon, or
Flabbergasted.
no! Microsoft has added some nice quality of life updates to the Xbox PC app, which now supports custom install locations for games, faster downloads, those are the special ones, and support for game mods just like Steam. Unfortunately, the whole app only opens as a tab in Microsoft Edge, so there's still some work to do.
Stop edging us.
And the world's first iPhone with a USB-C port has been sold on eBay for $86,000 US. The device is a custom modded iPhone 10 built by robotics engineering student Ken Pilonel, who warned potential buyers that they shouldn't try to use the phone as an actual phone because doing basically anything with it might break it.
This phone has one life to live. Once it's dead, it's dead.
And it's worth $86,000. I think that's worth a middle-class salary. Phone that doesn't work. Continuing this video is not worth it though, so come back on Monday for more tech news delivered either by me or a sentient vacuum. We're working on getting them in. The shipment is...
This sucks.
Is me. They're the kind of company that will probably actually exist in 12 years to honor that freaking warranty. So don't wait. If you need a power supply upgrade, go check them out at csonic.com or at the link down below. Okay, I think I'm all.
It's good. I think people should be worked up about this kind of stuff because, as we've seen, sometimes if part of the community is upset about something, it can be a little bit difficult to, reach through the noise. And YouTube's got one heck of a community. So
I have a call
making a noise is good.
On Tuesday.
About this or
do.
just in general?
I will be speaking to the product manager who worked on this.
Cool.
I feel like I need to kind of gather my thoughts even a little more than I did now and make sure that I'm in a good headspace. I don't think that what I'm saying is going to change anything.
I doubt it.
I doubt it too. The fact that they've been working on this for a year means that ultimately I don't think my voice matters in all of this, but the fact that they're at least giving me an opportunity to talk about it, I feel like it would be irresponsible for me to not present my side and explain why it's really important to me and why I would love for us to find another solution. And, like I said, I would be happy if YouTube came in and said, okay, look, we're going to turn it off for 6 months while we dev something better. I'd be like, okay, now we're compromising. Now we're working together on this instead of you just taking something that is really valuable to me because it's harming someone else. I don't want someone else to be harmed. 100%.
Yeah.
And again, the people denying that that's happening, you're living in a bubble.
Yeah.
It happens.
It's definitely a thing.
It's 100% a thing. I mean, you got to understand, like, I wasn't always a 10 million subscriber creator, right? I've seen it. I've done something totally innocuous, like having kind of a high-pitched voice and been attacked for it
For years.
for years, actually.
Yeah.
Like,
And some other stuff, which was all BS. Like it used to actually, to backline us up, it used to kind of cover LTT comment sections. Like it was actually pretty intense
and
and
so
really stupid.
So, like, I get it, and I understand that we have to make the platform a safer place, not because, oh, people can't stand to have their feelings hurt or whatever, but because we want it to be a vibrant and growing community. We want utterly unique content to proliferate on the channel, because otherwise it's going to stagnate. Like, it is in my best interest for YouTube to have as many creators telling as many totally different stories as possible, because that rising tide is going to lift all ships. I'm into it. I think there's a better solution.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't we move on?
Linux?
We shot part 4 yesterday and today.
Yeah.
So should we kind of spoil it for them? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to tell an anecdote that is not making it into the video, maybe, or?
There's actually quite a few of those. Guys.
So here, why don't I lay this out?
Okay.
Luke and I tackled part 4 of the challenge, which is game compatibility, a little differently. My way was a cop-out. I'm going to own that. I'm going to own that, okay?
Sure, yeah.
My way was a bit of a cop-out, but other than, trying a couple of games that I don't normally play.
You did try stuff. And we also, in your defense, we also played a bunch of random games.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I did that.
Yeah.
Like, I just played games that I wanted to play the way that I normally would. But Luke actually really, like, nose to the grindstone. Massive props for this, by the way.
Thank you.
Went through the most popular games on Twitch, sort of did a sanity check on them, and tried to come up with like 20 games that are the games people are playing. And instead of relying on ProtonDB to just say, oh, these are the most popular games or whatever else, like really put some thought into, okay, what are the most popular games? And then really set out to get them running. So this video is going to end up kind of split up the way that I think part 2, we did it like that, where we kind of talked back and forth.
So,
Yeah. So this one's going to be even more like that, where I'm going to talk through, okay, well, here's what I generally observed in my comings and goings, just trying to live my life, playing some video games sometimes. And then Luke's going to be like, okay, I tried this list of games, and these are the specific problems that I ran into, and this is what happened. So
one big bomb that is in that video.
Yeah.
But it's probably not coming out for like 3 weeks, so people might forget by then anyways. But ProtonDB is super cool.
Yes.
But we were trying to find a list of popular games that wasn't on Steam. That's why we use Twitch. And yes, we understand Twitch is not a conclusive list of the most popular games. What makes a good game for streaming does not necessarily mean that it's going to be super popular with the community. But the top 20 games, at least at the time that I checked on Steam, were very big name games that I know a lot of people play. 50% exactly are not on Steam.
Yeah.
50% of those top 20 games. One of them was Rocket League, which I'm not counting as on Steam because you cannot
it's not on
currently
Steam
buy it
anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Like,
a lot. That was honestly more than I expected.
It used to be like, I mean, I was looking at Valve's goal, right, of having 100% of the Steam library playable on the Steam Deck when they ship it. And I was like, wow, that's cool. And that's a lot of games. That could keep you
That's
busy
tons.
for multiple lifetimes.
Yeah.
Realistically. It really could. But when it comes to the games that other people are playing, when we talk about the social aspect of gaming, sharing experiences, right? Like, there's a reason that when Eternals comes out, right, you don't want to be the only person in your friend group that didn't go see it right away. Maybe you don't even care about that movie that much, but you want to know what everybody else is
about it and stuff.
You want to know what everybody else is talking about.
Be part of the conversation.
When your favorite gaming creator makes a video that's full of inside references or jokes about the Battlefield 2042 beta, you want to get the joke, right?
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that's really challenging. As much as you could play games for multiple lifetimes just within the Steam library, and if Valve does get that going, that's freaking awesome. When it comes to being a part of gaming culture, it's not the whole answer.
There's more to it than that.
So, okay, how'd compatibility go with your 20 games? Oh boy.
I think we might get into spoiler territory. It wasn't probably as good as a lot of people would think. One problem that you have when you get off of Steam is that the launchers are kind of
Trash.
in my experience, universally bad. Yeah, like it's rough. I had one time my computer was just straight up lagging out and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then I was just closing random things one by one and then like assessing to try to figure out what was lagging out.
Yeah.
It was the Epic Games launcher. A lot of different launchers have an issue where they just force themselves.
It's got a
to
fast
front.
SSD.
A lot of launchers have an issue where they force themselves to front for no apparent reason. The Blizzard launcher, for me, elements just won't load until I mouse over them. A lot of them require, not a lot of them, at least one, I believe two, require, at least for me, that's one of the issues talking about Linux stuff, is there's so many just like different fragmented ways you can run things that like, who knows, maybe it isn't for someone else. But at least for me, there's at least one or two launchers that if they update, just need a complete new reinstall, which is just annoying. Steam runs great. And Mostly. Yeah, there are some issues.
I mean, we had that issue with Remote Play where if I right-clicked your username and invited you that way, it worked. But if I got the link and copied it to you, which is supposed to work, that did not work.
This is another one of the issues too, though, is that like these things, and I hope people understand that we both do understand this, is these things obviously also have issues on Windows.
Oh yeah, Windows is a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
We get it.
Yeah.
If anything, this challenge, you know what? Maybe that's what we should do. Maybe part 4 is not the end. So I was talking to James about this today, and I think we should have a part 5 where we actually get like a crew of Linux evangelists. We grab Anthony, we pull in Wendell from Level 1 Techs, we pull in like Jason Evangelo, someone like that, right? And we basically get them to sit and do like a VFX artists react, kind of like a corridor crew style. You know, you don't see the entire series being watched by them, right? Because that's boring. But they might find certain clips and go through, like they watch the whole challenge and kind of go, yeah, they were right about this. They were totally wrong about this. I think they overlooked how bad this is on Windows and Mac OS or whatever else it is. And they critique our journey through the challenge. I think that would be great for a part 5. But then maybe part 6.
Part 69.
You and I do
critique there.
Linux Challenge Part 6. We install Windows, but try to look at it through the eyes of a Linux user or through the eyes of a fresh user and try to catch ourselves with every workaround. Like there's
some rough stuff. There's some really rough stuff.
There's been a bug in the Windows installer where if you have 2 drives, right? And you pick one of them, there is a roll an 8-sided die chance that the secondary drive will end up with your bootloader. So if you pull out your secondary drive, your main drive, which has your entire operating system on it, other than the bootloader, won't boot anymore.
Yeah.
And the process for fixing that is complete and utter black magic. Like
There's
it can be
also-
done, but it is a freaking nightmare. You know, if I come out and I say, look, anything that you must do through command line is that if the average gamer has to do something through command line, then you're done, right? Like if I'm going to say that, then I can absolutely say to Microsoft, if any user ever has to do this, you done goofed. You suck. It's that simple.
There's also
it's so bad.
Windows Update.
It's so bad.
It's so bad.
It's shocking. Like, tell me this.
It's actually stunning.
Tell me this, okay? For all the technological marvel that Windows is, like, let's not pretend it isn't.
Sure. Yeah.
It's an amazing piece of software. The fact that it works as well as it does is a bloody miracle when you consider the forward and backward compatibility of the platform. It's amazing. How could it possibly be? How could it possibly be that when I click check for updates, that is not instantaneous?
Yeah.
How could you possibly not know what the updates on my system are and what the updates on your cloud server are?
And it takes like
and in milliseconds.
It takes a actually awkward amount of time.
It
to
really
find
does.
I'm sitting there sometimes going like really? Like I've actually never had to check for updates on Mint. Mint just has this very nice little notification with a
Yep.
very tiny little dot that'll tell me if there's new ones. And if I feel like it, I'll download and install them, and it's never a problem. I always know if they're there. Windows, I have to manually check, or if it's just gonna try to like restart and bork all my stuff at random times. It's just like, oh man, so frustrating.
It's just baffling. So yeah, what do you think of that? We do like we try to go fresh eyes. Maybe I'll go Windows 11. Because okay, here's something that frustrated me on Linux. For whatever reason, OpenVPN. Okay.
Someone in chat just said it took 11 seconds right now for them to find their Windows updates.
How is that?
Why?
How is that even possible?
Sorry. Okay, keep going.
How is it possible? You know. Right. So what was I saying?
Windows 11?
OpenVPN. So OpenVPN in Manjaro Linux is as simple as right-clicking on your like network connection and being like, oh, I want to use OpenVPN. Now, I didn't actually manage to get it working. I spent a grand total of 15 seconds troubleshooting it.
Okay.
So the problem was that it wanted a pre-shared key and a passphrase or something like that. And I was like, normally when I connect to this, I only use a username and password. And that's not what this is. So I guess and it involved like going into our pfSense box and like exporting a new thing or something. I was like, you know what? I'm like 9 days from the end of the challenge. I'm going to parsec into my work machine. I don't even care. Sorry. So I didn't bother. But if I was used to that workflow, what I can tell is that it would be super simple to quickly authenticate and connect to an OpenVPN connection, which is awesome. On Windows, it's like kind of a pain in the ass. It kind of sucks. You have to download this like secondary application, and when you connect to it, I've got this weird issue with Windows Explorer where if I don't wait for the connection to completely finish and I try to access a network share on the remote network, I will have to disconnect, close OpenVPN, open it again. Sometimes I have to do a full dance where I have to restart explorer.exe. Then I have to open OpenVPN, connect, wait patiently, and then do it again because just reconnecting or just opening a new Explorer window will not work. It will just not load. Like there are problems with Windows.
Tried to play Forza.
Okay, we're back to problems with Linux now.
No.
Oh.
Yeah. Actually, this is like...
Have you installed Windows already?
I'm technically done the challenge, so I didn't install Windows because I just had both drives in.
Got it. Okay.
So I just booted Windows. I was literally
I pulled my Windows drive out so I wouldn't be tempted.
I was back on... That's funny.
I also didn't want to deal with dual booting. I was like, I'm not going to learn grub.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I just will not.
I thought I was going to have to mess with it. I didn't have to do anything. It just worked perfectly right out of the box. Yay. I wanted to play Forza, so I booted into Windows. That's pretty much all I actually used it for. I was back on Linux literally today.
Yeah.
So whatever. But I'm technically done the challenge, so I can do that. Funnily enough, I ended up reading a tweet after I was done playing Forza that someone got Forza working on Linux. It took them 5 days, which is like amazing. And also
terrible.
Yeah. But it was such a pain to try to play with other people because Microsoft's weird obfuscated stuff these days. A lot of the like user panels and ways things work are actually just really, really odd. And this is coming from someone who has used Windows forever.
Yeah.
Trying to multiplayer with people in Forza is really difficult, and we ended up all needing to like download additional applications and all this kind of stuff. Like it was a nightmare.
Did I talk about how horrible it was playing Minecraft Dungeons with my kids?
Really fun game, but
right? Because I had to create Microsoft accounts for them, but they're like junior accounts, and even their parent was not automatically enabled to play online games with them. So I had to go and navigate. It took me like 2 hours to get it all going between buying the game for all my kids and setting up the accounts and setting up the parental things. Because there's two different things. First, I had to make it so that we could actually be friends. Then we were friends, but like the button just wasn't there. So I had to make it so that, and there's ways that Microsoft could absolutely make that experience way better, right? Like they could have the online button, and then kind of like it works on Android. If my kids want to install an app, it'll just send me a notification. I'll be like, yes.
Yeah, sure.
There is no reason why Minecraft Dungeons couldn't just, if they go to play online, have a button that they ask for permission, and then I could accept it on a case-by-case basis if I didn't want them on all the time, or I could say okay, yes all the time or whatever. Like there's no reason that those systems can't be better. And I've got someone here is let me have a look at this. Jamie says, I feel like the problem with Windows is being exaggerated a bit. Well, for sure, but the problems with everything are exaggerated a bit.
I don't even necessarily agree, I should say.
Actually, yeah, that's fair.
I don't think it's being exaggerated. There's a lot of stuff in Windows that is really straightforward because it's been really straightforward for 10 years. But there's a lot of stuff with Windows where they're trying to, like, anytime Microsoft has tried to get into the gaming space on PC, which I know is like kind of weird to say because they made DirectX, but you know what I mean. The more like consumer usage side of the gaming space, it's been really bad.
Yeah.
And honestly, just stop trying to remake the wheel. Forza's a fantastic game. Been having tons of fun. The worst part was trying to play with other people, which is really weird because like a theme of the game is like, oh, we're a family, we're a community, let's all like race together. And then you like can't play with your friends. When I bought it on Steam, it feels like they're like literally 5+ years behind on a lot of stuff. And I really appreciate that they're trying to do this like cross-platform thing, so you can own a game for computer or own a game for console and play it on both. That's very cool. Either don't get your little grubby little hands on like the friends list and stuff that make the experience really bad.
Yeah.
Or just do it right. I know you can.
Yeah.
I know you're capable.
You're a multi-billion-dollar company. I'm sure you can figure it out.
Yes, I shouldn't I have the Xbox app. I shouldn't have to download the Xbox game bar in order to invite my friends to games. Stop it. Also, I couldn't even log into the game at first.
Oh, I've had that issue before too, where you literally cannot do anything because their authentication server's
The
down. or
Microsoft
something.
account.
And
I
you're
had
just
to go
stuck
into-
staring at it like screen,
Yeah.
like the car going, right?
I had to go into some like weird credential manager
Yeah.
and like delete a bunch of stuff, and then eventually I had to say sign in with Windows Hello, which I don't have set up, and then it just worked because it's like bugged out. Like, oh man,
Sure.
what a terrible experience. Anyways,
Sure. We should probably talk about the AMD data center tech.
sure.
So
Yeah.
Genoa and Bergamo, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. Genoa is going to have up to 96 Zen 4 cores, and Bergamo, I'm so sorry, I'm butchering this, up to 128 Zen 4 C cores. So those are cloud optimized ones where the idea here is that AMD is going after some of these ARM-based chips that companies like Amazon are building for themselves and kind of going, whoa, hold on a second. x86 ain't cooked yet, ladies and gentlemen. I am pretty excited to see how these perform and if they end up shaking things up. Genoa is set for 2022 with Bergamo late 2022 or early 2023. They'll both feature DDR5, PCIe Gen 5, among other things. And one other big highlight is the AMD Instinct MI250 accelerator card. Pretty cool, blah, blah, blah. They didn't show AI benchmarks. That's kind of suspicious, says Nicholas Plouffe, who prepared this for us. And I think that's pretty much it because I have to go pretty soon. But we said we'd talk about Microsoft releases SE products. So what is this?
I don't know. On Wednesday, Microsoft announced 2 products taking aim at Chrome OS's incursion in elementary schools: Surface Laptop SE and Windows 11 SE.
It's going to be a fight.
Yeah.
Gonna be a fight.
Yeah. What does SE even stand for?
Second edition?
I don't think so. Because it's like an educational product thing. The notes don't have it.
All right. I don't want to talk about the pinch to zoom core to law thing. I just don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Yep, sounds good.
Let's jump over to lttstore.com because we've got something pretty cool for you guys. This is a product that has been in the works for like a year. It's the party shirt.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Student edition.
And it's
Student
super
edition.
comfortable. check it out. It's got little GPUs and CPUs and SSDs and RAM sticks and power supplies and fans on it.
I genuinely think this is really cool. I like it too because it especially like it looks pretty pro, you know?
Yep. I love it.
And a lot of people like showing off their like guys' suits are pretty, you know, cookie cutter a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But with the little pattern on your shirt and the pattern on your tie, you can often show off a little bit of personality.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's cool.
Also, oh, this is fun. The latest edition of the newsletter is out, and Kyle, who you actually just saw wearing the party shirt with his beautiful smile and long hair, was our kind of wrote our feature story today. Not everything our team works on is directly related to making something you might hold in your hands one day. There's a lot of testing and analysis that goes on behind the scenes. Kyle's Omnidirectional Speaker is a perfect example. So regular viewers of Short Circuit would know that when we built the new set, we had this awful echo and reverberation. This can be a huge headache to fix, but in this case, the fix was simple. Just move the microphone. The way we figured this out, science. Look at this speaker.
Oh, that's sweet.
So you can buy these. You can buy these pre-done. But Kyle was like, no, F that. That's expensive. And built one. It's called the Death Star speaker, and it has one function, to make noise in all directions, which is kind of the opposite of what the Death Star did, but, you know, whatever, minor
Just
details.
one direction.
So it's a dodecahedron. There's an instructables on how you can build this. After a bunch of hours 3D printing, a day in the workshop, and some jank, out came a working omnidirectional sound maker. And combining this with a calibrated USB microphone and an open source software package called Roo, we can take relatively accurate acoustic readings. So we used this to fix the reverb in the Short Circuit set. We also used it, and you can see the graph from the LTT video acoustically treating the workshop, to pretty much fix the awful audio in the workshop and to quantify just how much we fixed it. So he's got a bunch more details in here about how that works. And oh, by the way, you know, also we sell stuff. Hey, that's a thing too. But this is such a great example of what I want this newsletter to be. So make sure you guys sign up over at lttstore.com so you can check these out. We do need to do a few merch messages, but I cannot stay for that long because otherwise I will get murdered. Is this a page that I can share or no? What if I do this?
URL would be unideal. I think that's okay, unless there's a message on here that's bad.
Oh, yeah, right. Let's not do that. All right, Ryan. What's the story or reason behind the original names for your servers? Where did the name Wannock server come from? Wannock is a town I grew up in. There you go. Noah, love the merch. My manager was on everyone's behinds about not having branded jackets at work, but didn't bat an eye at my stealth hoodie. Keep up the great work.
That's the goal, dude.
Is the point. That's why it's called the stealth hoodie. You can rep LTT without, causing a scene. Also, we actually have it in stock, unlike WAN hoodie. So please settle. Please settle for stealth hoodie. Aiden, what video did you want to recreate or redo from the older days now that you have a larger team and more resources? Oh, man. Well, here's one that we're actually working on. Anthony wrote, and I heavily contributed to, a video called The Last PC Build Guide You Will Ever Need. And basically, it doesn't lay out a list of parts at all. What it does is it lays out foundational principles for choosing your parts, lays out foundational principles for how to research, and lays out foundational principles for how to build a PC with all the sort of icky-picky little details in there, but not assuming the presence or absence of any of them.
Right.
It is going to probably be a 2 to 2.5 hour video. But it will be the last PC build guide you ever need.
That's pretty cool.
We talked through just everything. What are form factors? Oh, you know what? I gotta ping him. We didn't talk about power supply form factors.
What about a truly successful whole room water cooling?
Okay. So that's not what this is. Hold on one sec. I need to do this. We need to include a chunk about power supply form factors in the last guide you'll ever need video.
To be clear, I'm not referencing the last guide you ever need. I'm talking about the original question.
Yes. Okay. Power supply. Oh my goodness. I swear this used to be so
I'm going to try
better.
to get through some super chats while you
Okay, I'm done.
Never mind.
No, but we have some new capabilities that might make it so we could do something even better.
Oh.
Alex and Brian the electrician worked on a phase change cooler that we think could be daily drivable
Oh.
at like minus 20 degrees Celsius,
Oh.
which is pretty interesting.
Sweet.
And one of the other ways we're considering using it is a chilled box, so you don't have to deal with condensation. The crazy thing
nice.
about
Okay.
custom liquid cooling is that it can actually cost as much as an air conditioner. It doesn't cost anything to run on an ongoing basis, but with an air-conditioned, like chilled computer case, like it's like a fridge on steroids, right? Like you can't build a computer in a fridge because the compressor can't handle that kind of heat output. It's not designed for it. Not just the compressor, but the condenser. It can't handle it, right? It's not designed for that kind of heat outlet. It's designed to keep something cold, not make something that is generating heat cold. So this is that, but on steroids. So that's
cool.
that's an idea. That's
Yeah,
something.
Yeah. Let's move on.
This is the perfect gift for my girlfriend, says Vitoro. Hey, fantastic. Dimitri says, give Anthony his own Linux channel already. I mean, we can just make more Linux content on the other channels. No promises there. Paul says, can Luke model more shirts? I think he's closest to my height. Okay, that depends. He'll have to work through that with Hoffman, who takes all those pictures. Barry, hey, thanks for giving me something to look forward to. Hey, thanks, Barry. Mitro asks, who are your user experience rants directed at? Distros are built by users the way they like it. You personally did not contribute. Why do you think you have the right to tell other users that they are wrong? Those who don't give back don't have a say. Hey, Dimitro, you lost the game. Sorry, bro, but thanks for ordering a stealth hoodie. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll try that again. As a user, you are allowed to talk about the user experience. That is all the credentials that you need. And in fact, a lot of the time, creators can end up too close to a project to properly appreciate the user experience of someone who didn't create it. That is one of the core problems that Linux suffers from, is that the users are the developers. And so it's really hard for them to know how to design for a more general user. That's who I am, feeling like I have the right to talk about the user experience. I'm a user. Arvin, hey, could you add an option to switch between Metric and Imperial on LTT Store? Is that something we're looking at all?
We haven't yet, but
maybe
we
at some point.
Could, yeah.
Anonymous, been following along with the Linux Challenge, and I'm not going to turn back for a good while. Went with Endeavor OS. That's super cool.
Nice. I've heard good things.
Tech Quickie Calendar is not coming for 2022, but we'll probably do one for 2023. Basically, it's designed, but we didn't hit the printing cutoff. Whoops. Any updates on the hammer, asks William E.
No, actually, and I checked literally within the last week.
Thanks, David R. Okay, I'm sorry. I can't do more merch messages. If Luke wants to stay and do some, I really do have to go, or I will get murdered by my wife.
I can do that.
Okay, are you able to lock up?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just been a long time.
Call me if you need any help.
Okay, sweet.
Okay, bye, everyone.
But I'm staying.
Right. You know how to, like, kill it,
I
right?
think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you turn that towards me? It's just been a long time.
Call me if you need any help.
Okay, sweet.
Okay, bye, everyone.
But I'm staying. Oh, just like manually move myself over there?
Oh, but you have to stop the YouTube thing first.
Okay.
Hold on. Are we off my page? Yeah, so you have to press this end stream first before killing
And then that.
Okay,
Okay.
bye.
Okay, bye. You're all mine now. Okay, let's go through some things. Jonathan Q, thank you so much for all the tips and knowledge. You helped me go from someone building a PC to someone intelligently building PCs for myself, friends, and family. Your whole team is amazing. Keep up the amazing work. It's probably more directed at Linus, but I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Eric U, hi Linus. Get wrecked. The backpack looks great, but there are sorely few large messenger-style tech bags. Any chance you could make my next messenger bag? That's more of a question for Nick, by the way. If you guys have like store requests and stuff like that, honestly, I straight up don't remember his handle. I'm pretty sure it's Nick LMG. I don't exactly memorize people's Twitter handles, but Nick runs the store. Like, let's not get it twisted. Yeah, Nick LMG. So you're way better off if you just reach out to Nick. And to be completely honest, that even includes store features. Like, you want that like imperial metric thing, reach out to Nick. Nick is the ultimate deciding factor for things that happen on the store, whether it's merch or features, because he will essentially like tell me, and then I'll tell Conrad, and then Conrad will do it. So yeah, just do it that way. 15-minute Floatplane ad. Yeah. Subscribe to Floatplane. I inserted a little Floatplane call out in the Linux video. It was fun. Moving on though, Walter E. Thank you for your content. You should get/consult with an audio engineer. Yeah, I don't think we should get one. Doing a consult could be pretty interesting. There are many things I'm an audio engineer, could work on, blah, 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 especially your new audio booth. Yeah, I mean, if we're going to build an audio booth, we would consult with someone who knows what they're doing. Ian L. I've been a viewer for around 8 years, around the time that I started my career in tech support. All the work you guys have done over the years providing interesting and educational content around tech. If your team ever does anything in Australia, I'll be there. Heck yeah. Ben M. bought some underwear and a water bottle and said, finally underwear without holes. There you go. You'll enjoy them. I pretty much exclusively wear LTT underwear these days. I'm not kidding. I'm wearing them right now. And they're great. James bought an LTT hoodie, said LTT should team with G4 for something. That could be interesting. Jonas says greetings from Germany. Joseph says hydration check. Longtime watcher. Glad to have finally been able to catch one of these live. I am a hydro homie. But that's Linus's water bottle, not mine, and COVID's a thing, so I'm not going to partake. There's also other reasons to not partake, but whatever. I forgot my water bottle, but yeah, I'm gonna glug up when I get home. Michael, greetings from Winterpeg. Man, it's cold. Yeah, I got some relatives over there. Sure is. It's not nearly as cold over here. I actually wish it was colder over here. Okay. I think there's a video software company tour. Adam C. Do you think there's value in doing a video of a software company tour? Probably not. You could go over different departments like sales, customer service, dev, ops. Probably actually interesting. And talk about things like AWS and infrastructure. My company, Benevity, uses our tech to help make donating to charity easier and more efficient. That's good. Nice. I'm happy you guys do that. Nathan says, hey, Linus. Haha. Never going to get old. Love the show. You guys literally got me through college. Would y'all be interested in doing more networking level content? Probably not at a super high level. Just saying. But maybe they would. I don't know. Not my team. Alexander L. At work right now as a sound designer on a musical, but hope to catch this in the VOD. Keep up the good work and tell Luke he's a cutie. I will. He says thank you. Robert M. Hello and welcome to the WAN Show. Have a listen now. Anything tech news you think of can be found. We've got mountains of tech news, some better, some worse. Okay, I get it. Okay, it's the internet song. I don't know if I can sing along with it well enough, though. Yeah, I'm not good enough to do that, but very clever. Moving on. Scrapyard Wars anytime soon? No. If not Scrapyard Wars, if not Scalper Yard Wars, maybe. Probably not. Missed the series. Yeah, it's a little tried at this point. As much as Scrapyard Wars is my baby, we've done the format a lot. I could see it maybe coming back. There's still a few more things. The last one was a little rough. There's still a few more things we could do. It takes a lot of people. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of editing, and they're not quite performing as well as they used to because it's a little bit tired of a formula, to be completely honest. As much as it hurts to say, because I love Scrapyard Wars as well. Right now is a really hard time for it, and Linus and I are difficult people to use for it. I might actually be easier these days because I feel like less people probably know me now. But Linus is so freaking recognizable that it's genuinely very difficult to do Scrapyard Wars. I don't know if I could say honestly, because it's not like you would be intentionally cheating, but like people are going to treat you better if they recognize you from the interwebs, or worse, but usually better. Devin L. Got closure last show on Bad Time Bad Channel. You'd been saying Bat Time forever. Luke said bad time once. Linus said it was wrong. Later, Linus says bad time. Luke called him out for it, and Linus denied it was ever bat time. Luke was right. I don't remember any of that, but I'll take it. I'll take the W. Miguel. I love to wear fun shirts to work on Fridays, so I can't wait to add this to my collection. Oh, he got the party shirt. Nice. Okay. Thanks for everything you do for LMG. Thanks for everything you and LMG do. There we go. Sorry, dyslexia. You sparked my love for tech 3 years ago, and now I have a job in IT and love it. Fantastic. Josh, looking at the spreadsheet from the HDMI video, you guys only tested 6 15-foot cables, all from Monoprice. Based on this information, you guys are saying that using a passive cable over 10 feet is asking for trouble. Is there? And then I think they pressed enter on accident. Oh, no, there's a character cap. Conrad, does it just let them keep typing? I hope that's not the case. I don't think that's the case. They just sort of stopped mid-sentence. So I'm just going to move on. Morgan, Linus, you inspired me to become a tech YouTuber and try to get out of my crappy job. To thank you, I solved your issue with wireless keyboards in a... What? Search song? Okay, cool. Dimitro. Oh, I hope I'm saying that right. Binaries for Linux are dynamically compiled, so there can't be just Linux binary. They're separate for each distro. There isn't even a choice. You must pick a distro with a higher user base, Ubuntu, or experience pain. Saying you have to. So this is something I've gathered a lot more feels on that aren't actually going to be able to make it into the videos, because honestly, Linux Part 4 is massive. Just my portion of Linux Part 4 is honestly about the length of a lot of videos that I used to make. And Linus has a just as long or potentially even longer portion of that video. And these types of thoughts aren't in it. But I disagree. I disagree with so many different points of this. I even disagree with the idea of experiencing pain, because I don't think it's all pain. I think an extremely valid way to experience Linux is with no prior experience whatsoever, dive directly into Arch and get owned. And I don't necessarily think that's painful. I wish Linus is actually here, because this is what I wanted to talk about with Linux today, but we ran out of time. There's this conception that I think has been pushed forward on WAN to some degree, which is where everything has to be user-friendly from a general user standpoint. And I don't agree with that. We have talked about this, and I have brought this up in the past. There can be hyper-enthusiast versions, and nerfing those to make them more normie-friendly is not a good thing, especially when you're on a platform that has such a breadth of flavors, right? So for me, I want to game on it. I honestly just don't really want my operating system to get in my way. I have a lot of things to get done. I'm either like diving into a game with my friends or diving into work. And if I'm not, honestly, I probably just want to hang out with my birds. Messing with my operating system was something that I used to do a ton when I was growing up, and is not really something I do that much anymore. So Mint is great for me. Ubuntu would probably also be great for me. I'm just not a huge fan of GNOME 3. I like Cinnamon's take on GNOME 2. I'm very happy with Mint. Things are good. But if I was trying to learn Linux, like really learn it, my approach would probably be to start with one of these advanced user distros like potentially Arch and throw myself in the fire. And it wouldn't be pain, it would be effective learning. Because you're forcing yourself to really absorb this stuff and really learn it deeply and thoroughly. And that's good. That can be very good. And honestly has a high amount of potential to make future actual pain not as bad, because you have a deeper and more proper understanding of what you're using. One of my infrastructure guys at Floatplane, AJ, essentially said that one of the best ways to start with Linux would be to start without a GUI. Just start with a command line only. And he's not... When I first read that, I was like, what the heck? But it's AJ, so I had to like think about it more because he's a really smart dude. So I thought about it more and was like, you know what? In a lot of ways, yeah, because you're learning the like hyperpower user way to do this thing, and that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I don't agree with your point entirely. Anyways, that was an extremely long answer. I'm gonna move forward. Shanae, my husband is watching right now. I think he looked you more than me. Ha! Get wrecked. Your husband is mine now. Michael, YouTube moderation is trash. Yep. Lawrence, these LTT cable ties are so much more useful than just for the inside of a computer case. That's true. I just keep finding more and more uses for them. This is my third batch of 20. Looking forward to more gaming on Linux videos. Heck yeah. There's no such thing as more people working together on a single goal in open source software. Decentralization is the key because people disagree. I would just quit and pick another hobby rather than argue with someone. Okay. Bryson B. Anime voice actor Bryson Bogus, confirmed Linus fan. Hey, nice. Built a mini ITX PC themed after my character Shoyo. Oh my, I'm so sorry, but I'm gonna try. Shoyo Hinata from Haikyuu. I have no idea. Sorry if I hurt people there. David, Linus, thank you so much. I have never got any other YouTube or streamer merch, but I got y'all's desk pad. Very good quality. I hope this shirt will also be good quality. It will be. I can pretty much guarantee it. And if it's not, contact support. Chat, please buy the merch to help support them. ltdstore.com. Heck yeah. Luke N. Nice name, by the way, bruh. Grabbing the Stormtrooper bottle so I don't have to worry about hitting anything with it. Very nice. Also a Star Wars fan. I like it. Oh, another one from Dimitro. Who do your user rants directed at? Distros are built by user. This is the one that Linus already addressed. I'm going to pause. Elastadare. Hopefully I'm saying your name correctly. And address this again. I find... the Linux community is a difficult thing to address because any community that anyone at any time can claim to be a part of based on nothing is going to have a lot of different voices, and they're not all going to agree with each other, and they're going to react to things in different ways and all that kind of stuff. So I have to be careful when I say the Linux community. But I find there's a lot of personal hurt defensiveness when any criticisms are sent towards Linux stuff in general or the Linux community in general. What I hope that people understand is we were genuinely trying to give this a very good shot, and there was I think the conclusions and stuff are going to be more positive than you guys necessarily expect. When we're sitting here on WAN Show, we're coming off of like a day or a night or whatever of fighting with it, and we're frustrated about various things. But this isn't the edited, tailored version of our thoughts and stuff. So stick with it. Stick with it. The conclusion's pretty strong. Okay? We've shot part 4. I know. I read it. It's there. Alasdair, hopefully I'm saying this correctly. Please sign my bottle. Ooh, that's probably not going to happen. Sorry. Along with the person who picked and shipped. That would be pretty cool. But this is, yeah, sorry. Love you guys. Don't ever change. Honesty and transparency. There it is. Honest and transparent. Benjamin, thank you so much, Linus. Thank you for over 7 years of entertainment and for giving me countless examples of how to just be a good person. Dang. Heck yeah. Cedric? Is that correct? Cedric? Hello from province of Quebec. Hashtag float plane home. Kind of true. Yeah. Peter S. I've made 3K mining with my gaming hardware since you suggested it on WAN. Thanks, man. LTD Deskpad rocks. Heck yeah. Sounds good. I've got a buddy who has a 3090. He might even be watching right now. I'm not sure. And he games and he works from home. And he runs just a nice hash thing. I'm not recommending nice hash. Be very clear. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Don't listen to me. But he runs, I believe it's just a nice hash thing on his 3090, and he's made like $1,000 in the last like 2.5, 3 months. Okay, it's a thing. Anonymous says, "Hey Linus, have you found a headphone amp for your HD8XX yet?" I have no idea. I'm sorry. I would recommend the bleh. Okay, sounds good. The Hi-Fi M8 V2, just in case anyone was wondering. Philip, thanks for all the years I've watched. Thank you for the quality of the stealth, like the beanie. Being U.S. Air Force, they require our uniform to be black with black logos. It's impossible to find quality like this, but your stuff never disappoints. Thanks again. I look forward to the backpack. That's really interesting. I never thought about that because there's not just, okay, so U.S. Air Force requires black uniform with black logos. So I believe film sets also do. And there's other industries that do as well. That's pretty interesting. I didn't realize that portion of the benefit of the stealth products on the store. That's actually really cool. Jake J, loving the content. Are we going to have an LTX 2022? I think they're trying. I can't say officially. I'm literally not a part of that company, but I think they're trying. I think they're attempting to get LTX 2022 off the ground. But COVID makes things difficult. We don't know if it's still going to be around then. Who knows? Has Jake abandoned the Minecraft server? I don't think so. I don't know. Loving the short clips on Floatplane. Floatplane gang. Heck yeah. Cool. Will legit do anything in the world to have Linus sign my banana. I feel like we should have like a signed banana option. I wonder how difficult, Nick would know. I wonder how difficult it would be to get like an RGB banana. Maybe one of each one of the panels of the banana is a different color because I think it has different panels. And then sell those and then you get signed or something. I don't know. They'd have to be like really expensive. Because that adds a lot of complication to like the whole process. Like it actually really does. So they'd have to be like genuinely really expensive because you wouldn't want to do a ton of them. It adds a lot of complication, blah, 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 blah. But I don't know. Anonymous says shipping costs more than the book. So he bought an ABCs of Gaming book and he also got a lanyard and a desk pad and a pillow. Shipping costs more than the book, so I got other stuff too. Also, you need a place to sign up for notifications for when products are available for sale. Like the screwdriver. Okay, so we have back in stock notifications, which don't work that great. We're using an external thing. And if we make a V2, like a different version, like we release a V2 of the water bottle, it's extremely painful to the point where we didn't actually get it to work to have notifications go out for that, which is frustrating. So we might end up making our own. But we have back in stock notifications, but we don't have notifications for like pre-items. I don't even know how I would word that. But maybe an idea for the future. Anonymous says, LTT party shirt. Excited to wear LTT at the office. Ties anytime soon. No idea. Go bug Nick, though, on Twitter. He's your man. Myron. Love the show, man. Any new info on the framework stuff? I don't know. Sorry. PS merch messages, 100% awesome idea. Nice. Conrad's idea, I believe. Luke and the boys done good. Heck yeah. Good job, Conrad. Thomas says Luke is the best. I will tell him. Thank you. Benjamin says make more button-up shirts. Love this. Yeah, honestly, I think it's super cool. I know a lot of people are going to think, and I would if I was a viewer. So you know what? I don't blame you. It's fine. I know a lot of people would think I'm going to be like, I'm wearing it right now. I already told you I'm wearing LTT underwear, and I'm wearing a company branded shirt right now. But it's really good stuff, okay? So, yeah. More stuff would be good. Martin said, extra money from overtime. Let's go. And he got all the bananas, an insulated water bottle, a CPU pillow, a stealth hoodie, 3 mystery shirts, and a beanie. Dang. He wasn't kidding. Let's go. Nice. Okay. Pierce, any thoughts on Elden Ring? It's not out yet, right? It looks really cool. Looks genuinely really cool. I've been really heads down trying to make the most of the whole Linux challenge thing, so I'm kind of like re-emerging right now. But some of the stuff I've seen around Elden Ring looks awesome. Jason, thank you for being so in touch with your community/audience base. Love your content because you are always upfront and honest with us. Heck yeah. Paul says, happy birthday, Samantha. Anonymous says, finally, I am home on Friday evening. I'm not. Benji says, hey, Linus. Oh. I fixed phones at school. I'm really into right to repair. Heck yeah. I was wondering what your view on the future of devices and repairability. He wants more of them. So do I. Deepak says, loving the mousepad and water bottle. Nice. Pedro, I appreciate your Linux challenge. Helps bring exposure to it. Yeah. Hopefully, I think it's going to end up being positive. I think there's already been positive things that have come from it. I know certain members of the community have been very frustrated with it and very angry about certain things, but there has also been members of the community that have been very positive about it. And I think overall, already, even with part 1, which I think is a little divisive due to the, the whole, I'm getting a Teams message. Maybe they're kicking me off. Give me a second. Yeah, it's fine. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Due to the whole, Linus installing Steam thing, considering that was still really positive, I think it's going to be great. I think Linux people are going to be stoked. They might not be stoked about how we describe certain things. We might not describe it perfectly or whatever, but I think I feel like our impact here is going to be positive overall. People just figured out it's my birthday. Liviu, I'm looking forward for a hoodie without the large text. It would be more suitable to be used at work when clearly branded clothes can't be used. Yeah, like someone said earlier in the show, the stealth hoodie can kind of get away with that, but not necessarily 100%. Keith, I need to measure all the things. Got all the bananas and some lanyards and a water bottle. Very nice. Damon says, love you guys. You got a party shirt. Someone else said, love the new shirt. Got a party shirt. Very nice. Alex says, any thoughts of doing a stealth desk pad? The quality of the pad sounds amazing, and I love the Northern Lights pattern, but my desk is already cluttered. Also, thanks for helping me get through a year of depression. Of course. I don't know. Maybe tweet Nick at NickLMG on Twitter. Or bug him in other ways. Leave comments or something. Eric, hi, I've been watching since the Langley House days. I really like what you guys are doing. My first merch I bought was the Linus Tech linked t-shirt, which was really cool. Yeah. I still got questions like, is that tape? Okay. I remember specifically what shirt you're talking about now. Yeah, that took me a minute. Was actually looking for a shirt. Love it. Oh, and he got the party shirt and the neon hard drive shirt. Very cool. Eli says pineapple. Very nice. Bryce says, stop making so much merch. Almost 50% of my closet is your merch. Don't actually stop. It's great stuff. Thank you. Anonymous says, hi, Luke. Hey, what's up? Thanks for the WAN shows. Have a good night. Thank you. Joseph says, got the CPU T and wanted a second. Nice. Yeah, they're actually really nice. And the last but not least, Anonymous says, ah! That's literally the whole message. And that's it. Play the outro. Intro, outro button.
Hey guys, welcome to our combined review of The Eternals. So, as you can see, Alex and Other Joe are back from Vegas, where they got to see the film separately, and we decided to just record it now. So we'll do a non-spoiler section first with their opinions and review of the film, and then we'll get into an extended discussion. Since I'm here, there was a few things I forgot in my vlog review that we could talk about. So let's start. Let's start it off. So, what did you guys think of The Eternals? This latest Marvel film that is the first Rotten rating on Rotten Tomatoes, as being the worst of the Marvel films.
I can kind of see why. I don't know much. Well, obviously, I don't know anything about the Eternals, but I think the actors did a great job. But I was like, none of these characters kind of hit a chord with me. I was just like, meh. There's nobody really memorable to me. Mm-hmm. Some of the dialogue was like lackluster and very CGI fest.
Yes, I agree with that. That first act, the deviants, man, the deviants look terrible. I don't know why they went that particular direction, because the deviants have changed from the comic books. They used to be humanoid looking with just jacked up faces. Here they went completely animalistic in these designs. If you're gonna change their designs, why did they have to be CGI fests? Anyway.
Yeah. I think this movie's a fucking mess. And it's a mess of good and bad. There's some really, really cool stuff. I think the first couple minutes of this movie I was really into it. I really liked some of the story aspects. I like some of the storylines. I like some of what they did here. The issue is they did so much here. There are storylines that go nowhere. There's storylines that are red herrings. There's changes in bad guys. There are side characters. There's so much that this movie should have been 2 movies, right? They're planning on doing another Eternals movie. No, this one needed to be divided up into 2 because the Deviants did not get the attention that they deserved. They kind of were there, and then they weren't there.
I forgot about them sometimes.
And then they it was kind of...
He literally shows up in the final battle, like, "Hey, remember me?"
Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of things in this movie that they did very, very well. Some of the shots are absolutely beautiful. Some of them are not. Some of the humor is amazing and it's funny, and some of the time it's just completely over the top and takes me out of what should be like an emotional moment or an action-filled moment or something. It's like, look, this is not the time for you to show up with another comic thing. Like, I think that some of the actors were underutilized. I think I love Kumail Nanjiani.
Yeah,
and
don't you think that the higher named celebrities would take the front, but they were more relegated to the back?
Yeah, and so I think Kumail didn't have the opportunity to shine, and I think he's very funny.
He disappears in the third act,
and he just completely walks away. I mean, that's kind of an interesting thing. I don't know if this is one of the things where I don't know who to blame, right? Is it the writer's fault? Is it Disney's fault? Is it the director's fault? Is it the editor's fault? Because this movie feels messy and it doesn't flow together. But there's a lot of individual scenes that are wonderful that I really did enjoy. But then you watch them in order and you go, man, someone fucked it up here, and I don't know who.
Did you know the film's 2 hours and 37 minutes?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I felt that.
Like a fucking Avengers
Yeah, because I
film.
kept going back and forth. So I was like, when we go back, I was like, did we really need that?
Yeah.
We could have like tightened it up. And I don't mind if it all flows, because we watched Dune. That was like 2 hours and something, and I was engaged the entire
it
time.
flowed. Yeah.
This one was just like back and forth, back and forth.
between the two
Emotional
time
moment. I don't feel it because you just kind of pulled me out. So
this was directed by, Chloe Zhao, who, if you don't know, is an Oscar-winning director. The last film she directed was No Man's Land, which won an Oscar. So, and I think that's probably why general critics, movie critics, are harder on it, I think, because they expect kind of that level. If you don't know, I liked it. I gave it, what did I give it? A 7, I think. Because I can recognize it has issues, but I like the audience. Like, it's 47 tomato meter amongst critics, 80% with audience, and I do think that it's better than the critics say. I think there's worse Marvel movies than this one. They say this is the worst Marvel movie. No, maybe.
Daredevil?
Here's the thing that,
That doesn't count.
Elektra. I think we were talking about MCU because there's even worse Marvel movies than the MCU. But I just think that it shouldn't have been 10 characters. Or, you know what? It shouldn't have been a movie. It should have been a Disney Plus series. That's what it should have been. Because if you can give
some
it
more time.
6 episodes, you can give it 10 episodes. That's at an hour each. The Eternals is high-level, celestial, epic, universe, centennial spanning, stories, right? So that's perfect for telling over time and over many hours so that you could develop each character.
Yes.
In this film, each character gets a thing and they're rushed, but to me, it kind of works still a little, but it's like there's too many. There's just too many. It falls under its own weight.
I think the number of characters can work. I think that for me, the big thing that this
Not
character
in a 2.5 hours.
I do. So for me, I think they could easily have done all 10 characters and had it work. I think the issue that they have is this is actually 2 stories. Without getting into spoilers, there's one established bad guy that is not the actual established bad guy. It's a red herring. And then we go into a completely separate movie. You can't have 2 movies and smash them together and develop all the characters with the relations to both bad guys and things. And if this had just been a movie, this either needed to go give
It can't
Chloe.
do it in 2.5 hours, but you have to tell the story of not only the deviants because they're so intertwined with the Eternals, and then also the conflict. 2.5 hours.
This had just been a movie. This either needed to go give
It can't
Chloe.
do it in 2.5 hours, but you have to tell the story of not only the deviants because they're so intertwined with the Eternals, and then also the conflict of the particular story.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you have to ignore the second one. The one they ended up focusing on, the big thing they did at the end, should never have been in this movie.
Oh, that would be like the sequel.
If that's what
Yeah.
the sequel is, right? You establish the characters, you let us get to know them. You have that lets them follow the Marvel. Look, the Marvel formula is established, and it's always pretty good. Sometimes it's great, but it's always at least pretty good. And this one tried to do so much at the same time that the Marvel formula was really holding this movie back, was really getting in the way of like the characters doing what they needed to do, which is probably what the Oscar-winning director wanted to do, right? Probably goes to Disney and goes like, I'm going to make this interesting character drama. It's like, okay, well, the two main characters have no chemistry whatsoever. I'm supposed to believe that they have like a 1,000-year love affair. These people don't look like they like each other. So you casted it wrong. And then the guy Druig and the speedster lady had more chemistry in the 3 minutes that they were together than the main 2 did in the entire length of this movie. Like this, it was just completely doomed from inception, and it's not necessarily their fault. Jon Favreau directed one of the worst fucking things I've ever seen.
It's just that part of it wasn't built. Instead of showing the stupid sex scene that doesn't make me believe that they're in love anymore, you could have shown a scene when they do actually break up in Babylon, and that would have way more weight of them breaking their relationship
So
off.
certain scenes.
This
don't-
one right
And then and then in the climax, you have to do like a flashback in order to get the emotional thing that you could have gotten if you had just built up these characters individually and their relationships to each other. That's what Guardians of the Galaxy did so well. Is that there's a lot of characters to
And they
talk
all,
about.
it seemed
but
like they all had their
They
time.
all had their time, and then they grow with each other, intertwined with each other. They feel like a family. And this film, major flaw is their family didn't feel like a family. It felt like a high school reunion rather than a family. Like they're not really tied. But
They're
anyways,
university friends.
I want to hear more from y'all and what you liked and what you disliked. Or you could go to the final verdicts. It's up to you.
Yeah, I don't think that the main characters had any
No.
chemistry. So
So
Here's
like
what
nobody
the first act. Did you guys enjoy the first act? Because that's what I was like so bored in that first act. But then
Yeah,
it started to pick up with
a little
with
bit for me, but-
Kingo, the guy that shoots the lasers from his hands.
Yeah.
And then his fucking assistant was so hilarious. Did you guys like his?
I like
character?
those two.
I
yeah.
liked them half the time that they were on screen. I think that there were so many times where they're in a big action scene where like people are at risk of dying, people are dying, and he's like, "Hey, I'm on my camera right now." It's like this is dumb. It's not. There's no purpose for you to be here.
You're trying to go for humor.
He's doing a
appropriate time.
documentary.
Yeah, he's doing a documentary while like the Superman figure, the most powerful of the Eternals, is on the ground dying. And it's like,
What did you want him to do?
not be there. It just was
Really?
inappropriate for him.
I disagree.
Yeah, so I that's the humor thing that just didn't work for me at all. Like it was It was that part of it was not funny. There was parts where it was the lead up to was funny, or where he represents like the audience, right? Where he's like he thanks them, and he's on behalf of humanity. So some of that stuff really worked. It's just there was times where it's like it's so hard.
But don't put him in the action scene.
Yeah, it's just like
what you do not want him in an action.
Well, it just completely undercut any of the seriousness of the situation where he's on the ground and his head's getting smashed into the dirt. And he's on a little handy cam like, hey, I'm recording. It's like, look, there are times where it was appropriate and there are times where it just didn't work for me. And so, like I said, like there are humor scenes where it did work, and then there are times where it didn't. So I don't know if it feels like this was just sloppily edited together, or terribly written or terribly directed. I don't know whose fault it is, but someone fucked it up.
Wow, it sounds like you really didn't like it.
No, it's not that I didn't like it. Like I said, it's like there's a lot of really good things in here, but I love comic book movies. I give them at least 2 extra points on like our scale because I grew up being a fan of comics. I love seeing the superheroes, even ones I'm not familiar with.
It was a failed comic book.
Yeah, but like even ones that I'm not familiar with, I still want to watch. I'm not like a big, some of the movies we watch, I'm not giant fans of some of those characters, but I still enjoy watching them, and I like those kind of stories. And it just seems like a complete and total waste. It's a mismatch of director and story. It almost feels like,
I think she herself she pitched it to Marvel because she wanted to take it on, but I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's what I've heard.
Yeah. This movie needed to be 2 hours longer, or
this movie needed to be a Marvel Disney Plus series where you're telling it over 6 to 10 hours like they do for if Winter Soldier and the Falcon can get 6 hours, the Eternals deserve 6 hours. When you have 10 superpowered beings like this, that actually was 12, she cut it down to 10. And honestly, I think that because it was a failed comic book, because nobody's expecting the Eternals and they don't know about them, you could have cut down the characters even more. I would have gone with 5 characters. You could have combined Ajax and Thena into like a noble warrior who got to step down after getting a job done. You could have combined Cersei and Makari, the speedster, and Cersei. You could have combined Icarus and Druig, I can't talk about that. And then Fastos and Gilgamesh and Sprite and Kingo. This is a comment from Reddit. Okay. And I'm like, yeah. If you have fewer characters and make it like 5, like a Guardians of the Galaxy, it probably would have worked in a single film. Otherwise, you need 2 films, like Alex said, or ideally a Disney Plus series, and then bring them into the films later on.
Or just kill these characters. There's no problem. It's just like if you don't know, just kill them early on and like
kill
have
all of them.
No, like half of them. Like you don't have like I don't love the idea of like smashing together some of the characters.
But then when you say, well, what's the point in these characters then? If you're killing them early in the movie,
well, you show how their deaths impact and how they were important to the team, and like you can write it in a way where it's important that these people had there are characters in this movie that are not in the movie very long, and it's really important. You can see how much emotionally devastates the other characters, and you can have that be a theme by having some of these characters die off early.
More of them,
and now we don't have to develop 10 other characters.
Yeah, that works too. All right, let's get final verdicts so we can actually talk about spoilers.
More spoilers. Here's the thing. Like, there's a lot of nitpicking that I'm doing. The editing is by far my biggest thing. The pacing on the story, but I see I like the plot where it's kind of going now, but it took 2 hours and something. I was bored, and I want to see the next one because that one just feels like it's hopefully they put it together better. But this is above average for me.
Yeah.
I'll probably go with a 6.
Okay.
There wasn't enough chemistry. They didn't feel like a family at all or team. Yeah. They're just like, all right, we're here. We'll do shit, and all right, I'll see you when I see you. Flashback, emotion. It's like I didn't get the connection that they were trying to.
There's 2 central things there. It's supposed to be a love story, and it's supposed to be a family story, and you don't really get either of those. But in each individual character's life, you believe all the stuff that they're going through.
Yeah, Kate, I don't know his name.
Kingo?
Kingo.
Yeah, he didn't really get enough time to shine, and Gilgamesh was amazing.
Oh, my boy Gilgamesh.
He's my favorite one. I wish he would have gotten some more screen time.
Yeah. Okay.
A 6, yeah.
6 out of 10.
I'm struggling between a 5 or a 6 because I think this is either average or above average. Because I mean, even the Marvel formula, even when it's not done particularly well, is still done better than like for me the average movie.
Celestials. I like the fact that they went galactic.
Yeah, I worry about like galactic level threats because you can really fall on your face. I don't think they fell on their face here. Like I didn't have issues with the overall story. I just think that the execution was seriously off. And I mean there was. The action was kind of weird. The comedy was kind of weird. The romance didn't work. Some of the dialogue was strange. And then the power levels of some of these characters, like waning and
yes, the power levels is something that I hate.
Is kind of interesting.
All the Eternals are powered down. I mean, they're all supposed to be Superman level, but here it's like only one is Superman leveled, and the rest have little things, or it came across poorly. Yeah. If they are supposed to all still have Superman powered.
Yeah, and also the Deviants were
I think it was just to give them their own
underwhelming
character.
too, though.
Yeah.
What's that?
The Deviants were very underwhelming.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Super
Come on.
disappointing part. Then how the fuck do I like this film? And when we talk
It's
about
'cause,
it
like,
again,
you
all the
know at
fucking
the end.
individual elements are not supposed to work. Is that a testament to the director who actually gets us to like these characters and see what the potential in the film that it didn't hit? Because Crow is the guy's deviant name that gains sort of sentience in the film. Extremely disappointing. Doesn't make any sense. I want to talk to you guys in the spoiler section because of what he does in that third act. I still don't understand. Maybe y'all guys can explain it to me. Okay. Anyways, so 6 out of 10, and then between 5 and 6, you got to land on something.
Yeah. I will say that this is a 5. I'm gonna be a little harder on this one. I think that they totally fucked up the final act of this movie in both storylines they were trying to do. Didn't buy the love story, didn't work. They didn't do the deviant storyline well at all, didn't work. And then the main storyline, I didn't give a shit about, doesn't matter, didn't work. And I'm curious to see where they go with this thing.
What did work?
I mean, some of the action was great. Some of Kumail was fun. Like some of everything was pretty good, right? But I think that ultimately this is I like half of this movie and I dislike half of this movie. So
Okay. All right, so we finally got the review of The Boys in here. So I think I was at 7, and then Joe's at 6, and Alex is at 5.
Yeah.
So join us in the spoilers discussion where I can bring up some things that I forgot in the original review and play off these guys and see if they know what the fuck is going on. Okay, so spoiler section next. Hey guys, welcome to the spoiler section. Why the fuck did Crow help Icarus? I mean, if he's a deviant and the Celestials have been fucking over the deviants and also the Eternals essentially, and then he is spouting dialogue to Athena that our races are being manipulated by the Celestials. It's like, why is he trying? I don't understand why he helps Icarus. You know, he should be teaming up with the Eternals in order to stop the Celestials. His whole thing is his people have been mistreated and killed off. And what does he think is going to happen when the fucking Celestial is born? It's going to blow up. Now, the Eternals are protected. It's alluded to that the Celestial is attached to the Eternals, and he saves them, and then they go to a different planet and store their memories and do it all over again. But the Deviants are fucking broken, right? The Deviants are a failed experiment, and so they just die. And yet he is helping the person who is going to kill his race? That doesn't make any fucking sense. And he flies over and he deflects something, and the characters even go, "Why are you helping him?" And I couldn't hear the fucking thing. Did y'all hear the moment that he said what he...
yeah.
What the fuck is going on?
I thought he was gonna team up. I was like, wait a minute.
Why are you helping him?
Is he? Maybe he was confused.
I don't...
He was
Yeah, he was
confused, right?
confused.
He was
The
like, nah.
screenwriters were confused because they're like, "Oh shit, we have a deviant Crow that we forgot about. Just throw him in the final battle." Well, is he gonna help the deviants? Well, no, because there has to be an even bigger battle. So he's just gonna help Icarus. But that just shut your mouth.
Yeah, it was just
Just
the
shut up, Ben.
Eternals
Shut up.
fighting with each other. That's all it was. It's like, oh, let's throw him in there.
Yeah,
For
there was
like 2 seconds, and then bam. Dead.
everything about the whole Deviants thing was just trailer bait, and it was bad. Like the whole Deviant storyline went absolutely nowhere. They're like, even like people are gonna be like, oh well, actually the Deviants have a connection. So let's just how do the fucking Deviants on this world know anything about anything until they absorb the knowledge from any of the Eternals. Ajax. And so until they absorb her brain, they wouldn't have known any of this stuff. I mean, like
Arishem is like this celestial being, right? But he's fucking stupid. He's supposed to be this omnipotent being who's so fucking powerful, and he fucking populates the universe, yet he's like one of the most powerful cosmic beings, and then responsible for living creatures. And then you're telling me that he fucked up in making these little animals the first time.
Yeah, because
he
they
fucked
evolved.
up the deviants.
They evolved. Like, oh, shit.
And then he made another set of ones, and then like
he made it so they couldn't evolve.
and then they couldn't evolve, and then they the whole mission of them when he drops the bombshell that they're all made for this purpose, that they're not going to fight back against him. He's just dumb as fuck. Arishem is an idiot in my opinion, but okay.
Yeah, some of this stuff is like, wait, that doesn't make sense. Why is this going on?
Yeah.
Why is this going on? Because the script needs it to at that particular point.
Push forward. You know?
What do you think about Sprite's betrayal of the team? Because she was in love with Icarus. I'm like, what the fuck?
This is
Are
another
you
thing.
fucking shitting me? Not only did she spend extra time, because a lot of the Eternals went off in their own directions and were alone, but Sprite, no, she spent a lot of extra time with Cersei and Ajax, and because they're like, you know, friends. And you're telling me, no, I think he's hot, so I'm gonna stab you in the back.
This is just a case of really poor writing, because they kind of allude to why they just presented the worst fucking way.
Why?
Because she's
in love with Icarus.
No, well, no, it's not Icarus. It's because she doesn't get to have the experience that they did, and she's like, I envy you. You people get to understand what it's like to live and love and do all these other things, and I'm stuck in this kid body.
But you're gonna continue to be stuck in the kid body if the Celestial is born and then you redo it on another planet.
Yeah, but then your mind is wiped and she won't remember it. Like, if they stop the thing,
But
she'll be
that's
forced to
even
live.
worse
She'll be
in
forced
her
to.
That doesn't make any sense. She should be fighting to break free
there's a lot of-
and live her own fucking life. It's just convenient and Deus Ex that she gets to become a human at the end, because Cersei just so happened to have celestial powers because she connected with the Celestial for a moment where she can make her human. But that motivation was so fucking weak that I love you and I'll be at your side and I'll do it. When he showed no interest in her at all, she betrays all her friends. Now, the reason why it does happen is because Icarus is not the one that betrays. It's actually Sprite that betrays in a particular storyline, and it's because she's fucking pissed that she could never be an adult, and she's like getting back
Yeah, that could have been
at
done
the Celestials.
better,
So, but in this motivation, anyways, it could have been done way better.
Love. Nobody noticed. It's like,
Yeah.
And let's see. So, could have been cut down to fewer characters. Eternal needed to be a Disney Plus series to adequately build them up. We don't ever really feel Cersei's love of humanity. At least I didn't feel it. And I certainly didn't feel her love of Icarus. I mean, we saw it.
Did you see any emotion on her face that wasn't like eye dropped into her eyes at the entire time?
Okay, yeah. Is that what you're saying? Should have cast somebody else?
I said
Gemma Chan.
Icarus was terrible.
Yeah.
He was fucking terrible. Like, any of his emotional scenes is
I
like...
thought he was going for... I thought he was like the
stoic.
only one going for what the Eternals would probably actually act like.
Yeah.
They're fucking stoic. They don't... they've lived for millennia, and they have a purpose. And so I thought he was like the only one acting like an Eternal. Everybody else kind of turned into humans. You know what I mean? And so I thought it fit his character. It's like, no, we are sticking to our mission. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you people, but we're going to make this a mission. So that's why I thought his betrayal was like, all right, that's fine. I can understand that.
Yeah.
But I don't understand Kingo's, like, I'm taking off.
I refuse to kill either
I
of you.
refuse to do any. Doesn't he say he agrees with Icarus? He's like, I agree with Icarus, but I'm not gonna kill y'all to try to stop it.
Yeah,
But it's
he
like, but
believes
wait a
in the
minute.
main thing, but
Wouldn't he be the one character that would be most to defending humanity? He's got his little Alfred, which, by the way, they call him Alfred, so Batman exists in this universe.
Well,
Superman
call him
exists.
They call him
Superman.
I mean, if DC exists in Marvel and Marvel exists in DC.
Yeah, I like that. They reference Superman. But in Marvel's...
But he's an evil Superman.
Yeah, but in Marvel's smug way, it's like, well, the story of Superman is inspired by, stories like Gilgamesh, as he was the first hero in history and written down stories, and it changed over
Oh,
time.
my man Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
should have done more
Or
with him.
Icarus.
Yeah, I want
They
to know
did
what
do-
kind
they
of
needed
pie
to
that
do
was. Do
more.
you think it was blueberry pie? Could have been
I
blackberry
don't know,
pie.
but it did look delicious.
Marionberry?
Shouldn't have dropped it.
But his mom.
Yeah. So Kingo, what did you think of the fact that he fucking left, and then when you get the happy ending, he just shows back up and everybody's cool with him again? It's like, but you left your family. You essentially betrayed your family, and now you're
Like, where the
happy
fuck were
again.
you,
It's like,
man?
where the fuck were
We
you?
needed you.
We needed to do the Unimind. Like all of us. And it's never explained that he doesn't help. They don't need him. I guess his mind is fucking weak.
Maybe they did it anyway, because, I mean, they uniminded Sprite anyway, and Sprite said no.
I did. I saw that too. I understand why Icarus did it, because he's like, all right, I can't bring myself to kill you, right? Because he's about to stop Cersei, and then they have that flashback. But again, that shit wasn't needed. That flashback, if they had properly set up their relationship and their breakup and all this other stuff, and really see the sadness in him. But again, his stoic face, you don't really see all that emotion, so you don't buy it.
It wasn't in there.
But then he decides, okay, I'm gonna help. So he goes into the Unimind. It doesn't make sense that Sprite goes into the Unimind. So I guess off screen somewhere while he's doing his Bollywood thing, then he flies up and he does the Unimind too. And I just got mad at him because it's like, well, he's so fucking nice to his cast and his crew. He's got this cool sidekick, which I loved. He should get his own character poster. In fact, he does get his own character poster. Here it is. I fucking love him. And so he would want to defend these people because these are more his family than the fucking Eternals are, at least the way he treated them.
I was going to say that. You had more emotion than the team did.
Yeah.
Like, why did he leave? Like, you were actually doing more
Yeah,
emotion. They're
yeah.
like, I'm leaving. And all
right,
right,
cool.
bye.
See you on the next
And then
planet.
you're going to go fight. I was like,
I mean,
where is the emotion in this? Like, nobody's going to say nothing?
I kind of buy that
That he
his
leaves his
motivation
family?
that his motivation is just like, look, if these 7 billion don't die, then there will be hundreds of billions that don't get to live. And so he's just like, I'm not willing to fight for either side. And they were trying to push it. I just don't think it did a good job.
Yeah, because he did mention it, but it just rang hollow.
In that case, then they did do a good job. He fucking stated it outright to his team, and he fucking left.
Well,
It
it is
just rang
explained doesn't mean that
hollow,
it's
though.
good. Like,
well, how would you make it better, Alex?
you got to get different actors, I think, or a different writer. You got to figure something out because it clearly didn't work. Like, if we don't believe that these people are in love or that they're oblivious, then like something's wrong, and it's either the writing or the acting.
Yeah. There needed to be more show, don't tell, okay? Like the example of the relationship. Cersei and Icarus' relationship throughout the ages. There could have been more of that in the actual breakup and all this other stuff instead of, these scenes where they're like looking at each other slowly and then they do a kiss, which is I don't feel anything, and then an awkward sex scene which didn't really work. And
Then you got to show him standing by himself for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, like weird cuts to him in the desert.
Oh, I knew you were here. I was
Okay,
like, well,
so getting to the post-credit scenes, what did you think of those?
Oh, wait, but the Deviant,
Oh yeah,
I thought he was going to do something else. Like, once he shows up,
then he
just...
dies.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay,
That's what
well,
I'm
he
saying, he got
captures
thrown in there.
Athena, and then he's like, all right, I got you. And
then he sucked some of her powers, but I
Yeah.
guess not all of her powers.
And now he's dead.
And she was just playing possum, and then cuts him. He dies.
and he died.
I was like, I thought he was going to make some kind of speech or something. He's like, all right, well, this is what's going on, blah, blah. No, he's just like,
He does make a speech to her to convince her, like,
She's
I
the
don't
crazy
know,
one.
to get revenge on
She's
all.
the crazy
his
one.
whole thing, his character turned into one note. I want revenge
Yes.
on the Eternals, which doesn't make any sense because it's like his people. He's all talking about his people and all this other stuff. It's like, no, you just fucked your.
He's
whole
been
character.
frozen the entire time he's been on Earth. He doesn't know any of that shit.
No, not the entire time he's been on Earth.
for a while.
They were feeding
Yeah.
on humanity. But yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
When was there an ice age?
Well,
Then he got frozen.
In this
millions of
universe,
years
there
ago,
was.
all right?
Anyway, after they got killed.
Look, there was two believable moments in this entire movie that I liked. Right, Druig actually has a really great scene where the conquistadors are fucking up Mexico, and he's talking about having to live with the guilt where he can do something and is not able to do something. He has the ability to do all this
Which doesn't
stuff.
make any sense. Why did the Eternals give him that fucking power if he can't fucking use it?
Oh, I know. Well,
It doesn't make any sense.
He's the Men in Black
How
little
is that going to help
flashlight.
him fight deviants?
Oh, because
Controlling humanity?
well, he has to cover up the fact that there's deviants. He goes, look into the little dealie, and he looks into my thing. But that scene was really good, and I was like, oh,
Yeah, I
cool, we're
like
going to
it.
go in that direction.
He's like, fuck
and then
this,
we just
I'm outta
forgot
here.
that
Well,
exists.
Guess what?
Yeah.
He's actually a villain in the comics.
yeah.
Because he wants
He
to be
seems
the
like it.
Prime Eternal, and he's always trying to find a way to be the Prime Eternal. The Prime Eternal wasn't really a thing in this film. I mean, Ajax was the Prime Eternal, and being the Prime Eternal, your powers are a little bit enhanced, and you know the plan. And she knew the plan, but her powers were shit. She, fell down, got hurt, and got killed almost immediately.
She's got back to spray.
Yeah, that's her power. It sucked. So I didn't like that they were all powered down, but that was for the dumbed down version for the audience. Oh, that one is that. That one's that. That one's good. That one's strong. That one's healing.
Did you guys get a Mortal Kombat vibe at the end of this movie where like the clouds part and then a celestial's face come out? I was just like, is he gonna say it?
Well, yeah, no, I want to actually
fools.
see more of that because Erishem's appearance to the humans, that needs to be fucking examined. Because now
There's no way.
humans are like, holy fuck, there's God right there. The fuck? Like, yeah,
What
I know
the
we have
fuck was
superpowered
that?
beings fighting all over our place, but this is something completely different. So if they never fucking address it, like, oh, no, nobody saw, nobody was looking in that direction at that time.
Well, you got those people inside watching Netflix. It's like, I don't know, whatever.
Well, I mean,
don't
there's
believe it.
there's a frozen head. It's now marble or something sitting in the
Yes.
middle of the ocean, and everyone
Yeah,
sees.
sure.
It's like
It was Marvel. So yeah, there was a celestial coming out of the earth, which actually doesn't make sense if you think about.
well, you're not supposed to.
Marvel
Don't-
Yeah,
Guardians of
that's
the Galaxy 2. Do you remember Ego's plan? Ego is a
The planet,
celestial, and he is a planet, and he was going to expand on Earth, his seed. So what, you're telling me he didn't know that Arishem seeded Earth before? That there was going to be a celestial, and so he was going to
Earth
Earth
is
to
double
seed.
pregnant.
So what the fuck? That
Can't get
kinda
pregnant
breaks,
twice.
It breaks Marvel's canon, so now they're going to need to fix that later on and say, oh no, Ego is a different thing. He's not a celestial. He lied and said, yeah, I'm a celestial.
He's a lesser
but he's not
celestial.
really a celestial. Now, you want to go really in depth. Some people think that this Marvel universe is going to go in the direction of Earth X, where the Celestials are doing this because they don't have a way to reproduce. This is their way to reproduce. And if they overpopulate and too many Celestials are born, then it will ruin everything.
It kills
and
the universe.
Galactus is a part of that. And why does Galactus come around these planets and devour them? Really because he's devouring the celestial seeds and
Gross.
and kind of cutting down the celestial population. And then Ego is another type of thing on the level of Galactus that will it gets fucking
Two
crazy.
Pac-Mans?
Yeah.
so
And
Galactus
it's
swallows,
like,
so there will
I
be no
don't
more
know.
new
Yes.
celestials.
But I don't know how Ego makes. So they're gonna need to, I guess, explain that shit. And this is stuff like this is the highest. That's why I was impressed with Marvel. They're like, let's go there right now. Like they're at their highest fucking level because in the Marvel comic books,
can't-
the Celestials, you can't get no higher than the Celestials.
You already did the big ass battle, so we gotta go to space.
So now is that going to be Phase 3 or massive Fight 3 or no 5?
Are we
I
gonna
don't
get,
6
like, Silver Surfer?
because we have to get past the Kang the Conqueror, and then once we get past that, is that when Erishem's going to show up? Okay, I'm back. I've judged humanity not worthy. I'm going to come back, and Galactus is going to
Well,
kill
he's going
y'all.
through their memories. You see his face appears in the sky. Just goes, "Show me what you got." And I was like, "This is perfect. This is exactly what the
Show
Earth
me
goes."
what you got.
Yeah, it's like, all right,
What is that,
crazy.
the Rick and Morty?
Yeah, I'm going to use your memories to determine whether or not you get to live. It's like, All right,
But
I guess.
do y'all know what they're fucking with here? Like they've opened it up to those highest, and there's power creep, like in Magic. There's just shit that
I hate this
it's
side
like,
of Marvel, by the way.
How the fuck are you gonna do this? Do you think that they're just gonna drop all this, and be like, oh yeah, no, don't worry about it.
Yeah, we're gonna need a Molecule
Don't worry
Man
about it.
and Franklin
Airship
Richards.
never shows back up. They just it's a one-time thing. We don't need it.
We'll just forget about them until the last minute. And now you have to kill God who's crawling out of the earth, and then you're gonna piss off this other God, and then you're gonna make this doodad. It's like you can just have this be a monster movie. You can introduce the characters, get the audience used to them, stretch out the storyline because you're making another one anyway, and actually have it fit your formula and have it work.
But they haven't announced that they are, and on the last day of filming, they said they don't necessarily need it to continue. They are sequel baiting. It's not guaranteed that it's coming. They haven't announced it or anything like that.
The thing at the end of the movie, I thought it said you'll see the Eternals will return in Eternals 2.
Yeah.
But very famously, that's happened before. What other movie said something will return, and they never return?
Kung Pao.
Yeah, no, I guess you're right. Everybody's gonna be like, "Motherfuckers, you said they were going to return." Now they'll probably if it doesn't do as well as they want, and they don't do a sequel, they'll probably just do little cameos in everybody else's fucking films. But I actually do want to see an Eternals 2, like Joe, and with all that out of the way, maybe they can focus and do a little bit better job. And I hope the director comes back so that she can be given another chance, because it was almost a monumental task for one person to try to do 10 fucking characters, the deviant subplot, the celestial subplot, plugged into a world-ending event.
Plug it with a love story.
In fairness, I shit on Zack Snyder's dumbass for making Justice League. He needed 5 hours to make that movie work, right? Mm-hmm. And they're like, you only get 2.5 hours. Yeah. So I shit on him. I'm gonna shit on her. Yeah. If you needed 5 hours, but they only gave you 2.5, then you fucked up. Yeah. Whoever, Chloe.
And Dennis Villeneuve was like, no, I'm gonna do half a movie.
Yeah.
Motherfucker, you can't. I'm doing half a movie.
And it was amazing.
And that we're not going to greenlight the sequel if it doesn't do well. I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to be a gymnastic motherfucker and try to ruin my film like David Lynch did, cramming it all into a single film.
Snyder.
Right. So I'm glad that it's also the studios too. You can't put too much blame, but you're right. Okay.
Blame everyone.
If you sign the contract saying you give me $10 million and I make a movie and you know it's going to be a garbage fire because they only give you 2.5 hours, like...
Okay. Like, needed to be Disney Plus series. Oh. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and we will see you on the next Angry Joe Show.
Bye, guys.
So, you have a movie for me? Yes, sir, I do. So I was thinking. Nice. Yeah, so 7 out of the 11 Pixar movies from the past decade have been sequels or prequels or spin-offs. 8 if you include planes. I do not. Fair enough. So I figure on this one we could try something original like we used to. I don't know, sounds kind of unsafe and risky. Well, if it does well, we can make a sequel or a prequel or a spin-off. That's a good point. So we putting like a Pixar short before this thing? No, I thought we could have a Simpsons short. Oh, show off some of Disney's new purchases. I like it. Yeah. So what's the short gonna be about? Maggie Simpson getting romantic. But like in a cute way. Oh, okay. And what about the actual movie? Well, it takes place in a fantasy world where magic exists, but nobody uses it anymore because they developed technology which is easier to use. Wow. Yeah, so we're gonna have like unicorns acting like raccoons. The main characters have a dragon that acts like a dog. It's not an animated movie without a thing that's not a dog acting like a dog. Exactly. So who are the main characters in this thing? These two elf brothers, Ian and Barley. What are elves like in this world? They're basically humans, but blue with pointy ears. Okay, gotcha. So Ian is 16 and very unsure of himself, right? Right. And Barley is his older, more confident brother that's obsessed with this D&D style game called Quests of Yore. Okay. And so their dad died a long time ago when Ian was just a baby. Oh, I love it. Parents have no business being alive in animated movies. Well, they do still have a mom. Oh. And she actually has a boyfriend who's a centaur. He's a centaur and she's like a human-sized elf. That's right. I have some questions. Oh, please don't ask them. Oh, okay, yeah, no, I'll keep those to myself. Anyway, so this centaur is kind of a goofball and he drives since it's easier than running. Running is magic? No, it's just inconvenient, so he has to squeeze into this little human-sized car. If the magical beings are the ones that develop technology, why don't they have cars of different sizes for different creatures? I don't know. Oh, fair enough. So anyway, the kid's dead father leaves them a staff that lets them bring him back for 24 hours. Okay. But they mess up the spell spell and only bring back his lower half.
So like his crotch?
Well, like legs.
But like a crotch though, we're gonna be looking at a man's crotch quite a bit.
Okay, yeah, sometimes we're gonna be looking at a crotch, and I know it sounds weird, but it's actually quite touching.
Oh, touching crotches are tight.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, I need to start filtering some of the things I say are tight.
You sure do, sir. So anyway, sometimes they're gonna build a fake torso for their dad to pretend that everything's normal.
Oh, fake chests are tight. What's that gonna be like?
Have you seen Weekend at Bernie's?
Sure, yeah.
That.
Well, okay then.
So if they want a shot at completing the spell and speaking with their dad, they need to track down this super rare Phoenix stone.
Oh, movies about tracking down valuable stones are very hot right now.
Yeah, so they take off to go find this thing, because after 24 hours, that's it, he's gone.
They don't bring the mom along?
They don't, no.
Very insensitive.
Yeah, I guess, but she's gonna try to follow them the whole time, so we'll check in with her.
Oh, okay.
So they take off on a road trip in Barley's van, and they meet this manticore lady.
And what's her deal?
Well, she used to go on adventures and send people on quests, and now she runs a restaurant.
Oh.
But Ian and Barley make her go crazy and like reignite her taste for adventure.
How do they do that?
By talking to her for about 30 seconds.
Oh, that didn't take much.
Yeah, I guess she was right on the edge.
Wow.
So they keep going on this road trip, and you know what they encounter?
Well, if this is a road trip movie, I'm gonna assume they encounter bikers of some kind.
They encounter bikers of some kind.
Do they do that thing where they accidentally tip over all their motorcycles?
You know it.
Never gets old.
Never gets old.
Right? Oh god, I hope so. So what's up with these bikers?
Well, they're these little pixies, and since nobody uses magic anymore, they travel on these big motorcycles instead of flying.
Why wouldn't they fly?
Well, at the beginning of the movie, we show that planes exist, so nobody flies anymore.
Right, but you can't fly a plane through rush hour traffic.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a good point.
And if they're tiny, how would planes help them, like, reach shelves and stuff?
Listen, sir, I'm gonna need you to get all the way off my back about the magic logic, okay?
Oh, yeah, okay, let me get off of that thing.
Oh, thank you so much.
So what else happens?
Well, this is a quest, so they basically travel from obstacle to obstacle and try to get past them.
Oh man, is that gonna be hard for two teenagers to do?
Actually, it's gonna be super easy. Barely an inconvenience.
Oh, really?
Yeah, see, a whole lot of the problems they encounter can actually be solved by magic spells that Ian learns.
Oh, Barley can't do magic?
Nope, but he knows all about it.
How come Ian is the only magical one?
I don't know.
Fair enough.
So eventually they get the Phoenix Stone, but there's a curse that sends this big dragon stone thing after them.
Oh no.
Yeah, and there are only a couple minutes left before the dad's visitation spell wears off.
Oh no.
But see, Ian had this checklist of things he wanted to do with his dad, and he realizes that Barley actually checked all those boxes off by being his brother.
Okay.
So Ian fights off the dragon and lets Barley say goodbye to their dad, which he was too scared to do in the hospital as a kid.
Okay, so this is how we get the tears.
This is how we get the tears. I was told that was a requirement.
Oh yeah, Pixar runs on tears.
Right.
We run on tears.
Oh my god.
So what kind of voice talent were you thinking on this thing?
Well, I thought we could do some more cross-pollination of things that Disney owns and grab some talent from the MCU.
That's smart. So who should we get to voice Barley?
Well, overly confident character who thinks their plans are always the best. Sounds like a certain somebody from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you're thinking.
I am,
Glenn Close.
No, Chris Pratt.
Oh yeah, that is a much better choice. What about Ian?
Well, he's an awkward, scrawny teenager. That's Tom Holland to a T.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. We better snatch him up fast before another animated movie takes him for that kind of role.
Oh yeah, we're gonna want to be first on that for sure.
Hey guys, it's Ryan here. Hope you enjoyed that pitch.
"45 seconds of Luxogos."
Long ago, the world was full of wonder.
Narration.
And that magic helped all in need.
And no one ever used it for harm or deceit or abused it for power, because that's just not something people do. Signed, Walt Disney. Okay, Houses Made of Mushrooms is a 100% ripoff of the Smurfs. Gargamel shows up, I'm going to add 1,000,000 cents. Hell, if a cat shows up at some point, I'm adding 500,000 cents just out of pure spite.
But it wasn't easy to master.
Movie is now making a point about how magic was hard, and so people invented light switches. And that's probably making a great point about the peril of taking the easy way, but here's the thing. It's also bull. We see plenty of magic spells later with no easy parallel. They're telling me that this world could shrink and enlarge things at will or turn themselves into other people, and they were like, nah, that's too hard. I'd rather drink a milkshake. I'm not saying no one would be sucking down a milkshake, but I am saying that there were plenty of people who would have stuck with it for a chance to make a bigger milkshake and then drink it while in the form of Daniel Day-Lewis. Also, movie suggests that this world gave up on magic because it was hard to master, and science was easy to master. To that I say, science is hard as bitches. Try it once and you'll see. And even when magic does have a parallel, it might not make sense. Who is trading free personal power of flight for the absolute nightmare that is flying commercial? Yes, I'd like to trade my ability to fly for a crowded cesspool of disease, noise, and pent-up anger, please. And could you also make sure it takes 2 hours of screening and groping to board, and that there's only one tiny shared receptacle for when I need to evacuate my bowels? This whole premise of this movie is a lie and deserves all the sins. Holy f***ing would you look at the size of this room? Who cares what's in it? That room is ginormous. I grew up sharing a bedroom with my brother the size of a large closet. This fool has 600 square feet all to himself.
We don't have much food. I still have to go to the grocery store. Hands off, mister. Those are for your party tonight.
So she planned ahead for the party in regard to groceries, but not her family's daily meal needs?
Your birthday's a day to try new things. Be that new you.
I thought that was New Year's. Birthdays are for self-loathing and calorie bombing. Any mother of 2 boys worth her salt would definitely get involved once horseplay resulted in wasted food. Wrestling with your mom.
You could definitely learn a lot from Quests of Yore. You want to play?
Quests of Yore is obviously supposed to be a version of Dungeons & Dragons, but isn't the whole D&D thing about imagining a fantasy world? In this world, D&D would basically be the game of life. And do you know anyone who gets together to play life? Burgershire, now serving second breakfast. Get it? This is an LOTR reference, dweebs.
This was my dad's. Lightfoot? Wilden Lightfoot? Yeah.
Holy coincidence, Batman. Not only does this guy happen to be in the Burgershire restaurant right at this second, but he also sees the sweatshirt and then also happens to have known dude's daddy in college? That is some bullshit.
Your dad was a great guy. So confident. When he came into a room, people noticed.
But also, when Al Capone walked into a room, people noticed too. So recognition alone doesn't mean regarding moral character. Well, learn to drive, be like dad, and invite people to a party are all pretty harmless looking. Unless your dad is Rusty Nail.
And was wondering if you wanted to come over and get down on some cake.
Look, however much heart this movie has at the end, and I've been told it has some, this opening 10 minutes of exposition and setup is a snooze fest I'd expect from Illumination, not Pixar.
What up, dudes? I'm not having a party tonight.
Adolescent practices their important social situation speech ahead of time before completely botching it in front of the ones they were trying to impress cliché. I get that Barley is supposed to be reckless, but this van is swerving back and forth at high speed with no one driving it. The situation would have caused at least 3 pedestrian deaths at this point.
Ooh, whoops. Sorry. Let me just file those.
Joking about having dozens of parking tickets. Look, I hate the asshole parked illegally the one time I see him, but if I knew he had not only gotten a ticket then, but had also gotten 3 dozen other tickets, and none of them meant anything and he never changed, then I would be voting for parking reform and maybe worse. Movie is now double expositioning us by reading the same letter it narrated to us at the beginning of the movie.
Back to life? That's not possible.
Well, it used to be, but people got bored with trivial things like bringing people back to life because they're apparently just that lazy.
Rebirth. Tomorrow's sun is set. One day to walk the earth.
Spelling mistakes.
Only once is all we get. Grant me this rebirth.
Later we find out that magic only works if you speak it from your heart's fire, and that the higher the spell level, the more difficult it is to summon the strength for it. Yet here, Ian just mumbles some lines without even holding the staff, and because the story needs it, the magic is ready to pop. I'm just saying I learned pretty early on that if you want the magic to happen, step 1 is actually holding your staff.
Whoa, feet!
Tonight, the role of Barley will be played by Quentin Tarantino.
He can't hear us.
Duh! He has no ears.
A person can only do magic if they have the gift.
I'm pretty sure this very movie told me that magic died out because it was too hard and science was easier. So having the gift is some bullshit. Discount Magic the Gathering is about to save the day.
This book is for a game.
I told you, everything in Quests of Yore is historically accurate. You said it right. It's just for any spell to work, you have to speak from your heart's fire.
Oh, for crying out f***ing loud. We will find out in a second that this is basically a Chuck E. Cheese with hundreds of customers. So where is all the traffic? And why is there just one glowing light on? Is it because the joke is more important than accuracy? I think it's because the joke is more important than accuracy. How did they attach a top half dad to the bottom half dad? Shouldn't the top half fake dad be toppling back down the hill? There's no sewing or fastening here. Also, Mount Doom, another LOTR joke. I thought Pixar movies were all about making Pixar in jokes.
Might you have the real map?
Yeah, it's over there.
I'm not sure if I'm sinning that apparently every quest ever started with the same exact map to a single Phoenix gem, or that the exact quest these two need just happens to be the quest that you have displayed on your wall and for your children's menus. But either way, that's some bullshit. Sorry, seasonal allergy.
My days of sending people on dangerous quests are over.
So there are still creatures living who were alive during the before times? This communal magic amnesia makes less and less sense the further the movie goes. She won't let them take the map because she thinks that constitutes her sending them off on a quest. And she's worried about getting sued and losing her tavern. That's the reason they can't have a piece of paper off the wall that anyone could just take a picture of and follow the, hey, why don't they just take a picture of the map? Was this costume made of marshmallows? Why does it melt like this? Well, to be fair, that could also be used to spell nap investor, spa inventor, or Venus porn. So, you might need to check out Philip Krim, Ancient Rome, or the video you filmed that one time of yourself masturbating in the mirror.
Expressway is a little too obvious. On a quest, the clear path is never the right one.
The f*** does that mean?
We take an ancient trail called the Path of Peril.
Considering you just found out about Raven's Point and all your previous adventures have been on a tabletop game, how did you have this information right at your big blue fingertips?
Your boys are in grave danger, but I can help!
How do you even know that? As far as you know, the Met burned up in the fire and they don't even know where they're going. Jeez, the characters of this movie are near omniscient. This head was at the center of the fire as the building burnt to the ground, but had enough comedic sense to crawl itself outside just for this moment. In college, I took a girl on a date one night. We drove up to Chicago, an hour away, had a fancy dinner, saw a fiddler on the roof someplace, and on the way home, my car broke down on the highway at midnight in 33-degree weather. Not my best moment. So the tow truck driver dropped us off at Waffle House, and one of my suite mates drove out and picked us up at 1:30 in the morning and drove us back to campus. Then the next day, the same roommate drove me back to where the car was in the shop, and I had to get money from my dad via Western Union because I was broke. My point is, only in the movies do cars break down at super inopportune moments during important trips. My story was the exception that proves the rule. What's worse is that this car didn't break down. It ran out of gas because the gas dial's broken, which Barley knows and yet forgot to plan for. Barley is the worst.
Is there a magic way to get gas?
Yes, it involves a magical fruit. There's even a whole song about it.
Elbows!
What?
Elbows up! No, it's too high.
Man, f***ing elbow position cannot be important for the spell. And it's not funny, so why is this bit here in the movie?
Hey, I don't need you to carry me. I'm a grown man.
Is this comedy?
The center of its power. And only one weapon forged of the...
Jesus, historical lore-spewing Christ. This movie just keeps making up as it goes because it knows you don't care as long as you laugh a few times and you cry at the end.
Got in a little tax trouble a few years back. But don't worry, I know just where to find it.
The Manticore is about to pull an OJ, and the sin is this movie making me use the phrase pull an OJ.
Put it in O for onward!
Roll D20s. I mean credits. This is my least favorite chase scene of all time. And, of course, this chain grabs his arm because the movie whips and chains automatically hold on to anything they wrap around.
Oh, it is on, Shane! Got him!
They hear this. So he blasts the air and the sprites all go flying, but Tiny Barley doesn't. Then Tiny Barley lets go and flies out the window, but Ian catches him. And I'm beginning to think this movie has no stakes whatsoever.
I think the spell is wearing off!
And thankfully in the most comedic way possible.
You can disguise yourself to be anyone you want. Disguising yourself is a lie, so you must tell the truth to get by. As long as you don't tell a lie, the spell will be fine.
God damn it, this movie just keeps making up new rules and new loopholes every other scene, and because said loophole rules create physical comedy, I'm expected to laugh. This might be the laziest Pixar script since Cars 3. And yes, Cars 2 is a worse movie, but it's a more original story. Cars 3 is just cars all over again.
Answer every question with a question.
Now we're stealing from 40-year-old virgin.
That guy's not all there today.
Yeah, he does seem a little off.
It's Weekend at Bernie's! It's Weekend at Bernie's! Pixar has now stooped to stealing visual jokes from a movie released in 1989.
It's not easy being a new parent. My girlfriend's daughter got me pulling my hair out.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Pixar Disney's idea of LGBTQ representation. Hooray? Topless dancing in public.
Oh no, here he comes.
We know that partial pops can't see or hear, so how exactly did he dance directly over to Barley and grab him with his foot as if he knows exactly where he is?
Just do one thing my way.
You really think this path of peril is the best way to go to the mountain?
No, it can't possibly be. It's longer and windy and has the word peril in its name. So, of course, yes, it's the best way to go. F me. She tells the importance of the sword to the pawn shop owner before finalizing the sale, which causes the price to go up instantly. Like none of these fools have ever seen Pawn Stars. Not only is this bumper conveniently dropped where Colt sees it, but it also magically disappears, so he doesn't run it over when he follows the path.
Bottomless pit. Whatever falls in there, falls forever.
But how do you know this? Sure, you've played your Quests of Boar game or whatever, but you had no idea this was even here.
Just say Bridrigar Invisia.
God damn it, this guy knows fucking everything. This movie is literally go a few minutes, get info from Barley. Go a few more minutes, get info from Barley. Go a few more minutes, etc. Now we're stealing the invisible bridge you need to step out in faith on from the Last Crusade.
Believe with every step.
But he did believe with that step. He was excited and confident. Maybe he meant concentrate. Maybe he meant focus. Maybe he meant the story needed another fail so the tension could amp up. If the centaurs drove cars in this world, then those cars would be designed with doors that work for them, right? Like some sort of Ford Centaurus. So wait, there's a farm out here? And how did these cops get here from the other direction? Kind of makes that whole bridge thing a little pointless, huh? And now they are even on a paved road. I'm guessing it wouldn't have taken too much to drive around that chasm if there was a paved road this close to the other side. Not to mention they are now spotting a raven from this main road. This is one of the most non-hidden quests of all time.
Arcane lightning.
You said that's the hardest spell.
I forgot that part, but I'm sure it happened. And the point is that this movie has given me so many spell rules, I no longer know who to trust. I'd give all the sins back if it went like the movie Sideways and the van immediately wrecked and did no good. This works. I mean, this works. This is a Dude Perfect video snuck into a movie. Only in real life, Dude Perfect can do multiple takes. And in an animated movie, they can just draw the victory from the get-go. I like how he had to run all the way up under this bird statue before he could know which way it was pointing.
This is actually kind of cool.
But also impossible. I'm not saying cheese puffs wouldn't float. I'm just saying that in liquid and at that speed, that puffy cheese phallus would disintegrate faster than a non-important MCU character before Endgame.
Oh, we'll get to them fast. We'll get to them so fast.
Wow, now the movie is ripping off the drank too many energy drinks gag from the Yes Man. And it felt stale even in that movie.
Come on, pixie dusters, let's take to the sky!
Really? No retaliation on the people who just splatted one of you on a windshield? Earlier, you just got your bikes knocked over and you went all Mad Max Pixie Road on them, but now you're cool with attempted manslaughter? Good to see they have time to slow down the Cheeto Express for some magic lessons and eventual heart-to-heart conversation, when just moments ago they were in the ultimate time crunch and speeding down this cavern. I guess the time pressure is really only on when the movie needs it to be. This 2 minutes and 13 seconds will translate to 15 minutes and 7 seconds of movie time, because magic?
It's some kind of puzzle!
This movie Indiana Jones is so hard, I'm surprised they don't end up barely making it through this closing door or have to reach back under just in time for... Mr. Lightfoot saves the day, because he doesn't need to breathe and can stand on the button underwater and keep the quest going. But who makes a quest like this? Nobody knows they'll need something heavy when they get here, and the room is required to fill with water so you can reach the next spot. The only reason this quest is like this is because it seems really clever that they can use the no-face dad this way, turning a negative into a positive.
No, this doesn't make sense. We took the path of peril.
You know, it doesn't make sense that in all these years, with all this construction, no one has damaged or discovered this underground river or this booby-trapped tunnel to the surface. Damn it, Pixar. How did you sneak that whole brother as surrogate dad message up on me like that? And here come the emotions. Damn you, Luxo Jr. and your mystical power over my tear ducts. Why does the curse on those who seek the Phoenix Gem immediately start killing the nearby school children, and not those who started the curse? By the time the red evil is transforming itself into a dragon via concrete slabs, I'm tuned way the f*** out on this bitch. Guessing that by the end the heroes win, order is restored, and my college girlfriend loves me again, right?
What do you want? The gem? Fine, take it!
Suggestion: if you're ever being pursued by a mystical curse attached to an ancient relic, don't try to fool it by tricking it with a cheap imitation. Real mystical curses see right through that shit, trust me. Also, premature celebration. Manticore Ex Machina. The finale of this movie is a ripoff of the halfway point action scene in Goblet of Fire, which is to say that the finale of this movie is not very original.
I never had a dad, but I always had you.
Sweet, but what is the super grumpy dragon doing during this minute-long brotherly love moment? Apparently there's a little-known dragon code that you can't attack when there's bro bonding taking place. This pile of rubble landed with not one, not two, but 3 convenient plot-based peepholes. Plot holes? Watching Ian watch his dad interact with and hug Barley makes me realize Ian got kind of a deal here. I know the movie makes Ian okay with it, but that's bullshit. Ian should get to see his dad.
What did he say?
He just kept repeating, "Don't let me die again, don't let me die again. Why did you waste all but 60 seconds of my time? I'm so scared, don't let me die again." Something like that.
He also said he's very proud of the person you grew up to be.
Based on what? He literally had no conversation or awareness of Ian as a person that entire time.
Jell-O? Why does he want Jell-O? Because he's comfortable with Jell-O.
Did you know the CinemaSin writers have podcasts? Check out Sincast and Behind the Sins by searching for CinemaSins wherever you listen to podcasts.
I have made fire! Swamps of despair.
What about the ROUSs?
Rodents of unusual size?
Are you telling me you're the owner of the Bubba Gump Shrimp Corporation?
Yes, sir. We got more money than Davy Crockett.
Merged into traffic.
Whatever you do, keep your hands off the wheel at all times! Ah!
Did you catch up to the boys yet?
No, not yet.
Why couldn't I take a cab? For $6, my whole life could have changed.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
What is he doing?
I think he can feel the vibrations of the music, and he's dancing.
Like in Footloose, the movie?
Exactly like Footloose. Is it still the greatest movie in history?
It never was.
You didn't file your paperwork last night.
Impossible. Nobody can jump this.
west, and X only means one thing.
X marks the spot. Oh, and he told me to give you this.
Brothers don't shake hands. Brothers gotta hug.
Roads, where we're going, we don't need roads.
This is my world.
I would pay good money, the price of a movie ticket even, to see a f***ing animated kids movie that didn't start with narration. Like, is this now a f***ing requirement? Has it always been a requirement? I don't remember Mickey coming on in the opening scenes of Steamboat Willie and explicitly introducing his universe.
This is me. I think it's apparent I need to rethink my life a little bit.
Got a lot of ice.
At that elevation and those temperatures, I imagine all you have is ice. So where did you get those frozen flowers, butterflies, and that giant pile of fruit? There's no way you're finding all that in this closed ecosystem.
See, we have these laws that are written in stone.
The stones are here to protect us.
Common law.
Interpreted and enforced by the Stone Keeper.
Oh, so he's pretty much Morgan Freeman and Wanted, reading that f***ing loom of fate bull.
Like how the world was created when we all fell from the butt of the great sky yak.
Good to know right off the bat that this movie will be dealing with religion and dogma in a nuanced and meaningful way.
My favorite stone of all is the one that says the gong must be rung to wake the great glowing snail.
Man, I don't care who came up with this story, but I sure do wish I knew that person's drug dealer.
Up and at 'em, amigo. Time to ring the gong.
Let's see. Smallfoot, Animal Crackers, The Lorax, Little Spirit, Hercules, Space Jam, a few things in post-production. Yep, I think we've got plenty of material to say Danny DeVito voices an adorable character in an animated movie cliche.
I guess you could say I'm learning the ropes and the wheel and the crank.
Damn, sounds like the puberty process for Christian Grey.
Because there's literally no other way to ring a gong.
Sarcastically meta-referencing the stupidity of your plot device does not in any way relieve you of the responsibility of said stupidity.
Look at everybody there.
Hang on, this is a musical? Man, I know Channing Tatum doesn't have a bad voice, but I'm not looking forward to listening to anyone other than Zendaya in this cast trying to carry off an entire song. If I'd known this was going to be a presentation of The Abominable Showman, I wouldn't have shown up for work today. Also, this song about the perfect village Migo lives in is essentially the polar opposite of the song Belle sings at the beginning of Beauty and the Beast. And because it's even worse by comparison to that classic, it's earning another sin.
Look at everybody do their part, and they do it with a happy heart.
Great, now the movie's ripping off Moana's How Far I'll Go, but has none of the rebellious heart of that movie. So this sucker earns another sin. You want another one, movie? Say the word. Just say the word. Instead of going to prison, you'll come here.
Hey everyone, I get to do a practice gong.
But don't they believe ringing the gong is the only way for the sun to come up? F***ing practice gong would potentially shatter the space-time continuum, right?
Soon you will join a long line of family greats.
Jeez, this movie cares as much about offending victims of chronic head trauma as the NFL commissioner.
And your mom. Wish she was here to teach you.
Yeah, but I thought Dorgle was the one that descended down the vaunted line of gong ringers, and this is specifically his job. Why is she immortalized, and what could she have taught to Migo? And why is she even dead? What purpose does that serve in all this story? Migo survives all of this.
What is that?
I can't be too sure, but from here it looks like Steve Trevor's back on his bullshit again. The physics of this plain insane fails mainly in my brain. Wow, we're just mowing down the cliches before the 10-minute mark, eh, movie? Let's check. The main character has a pratfall that's supposed to be hilarious because it's in super slow motion one off the list. Premature ejaculation?
Now I know Migo has gotten you all very anxious with his little story.
Man, this is so f***ing dismissive that it should immediately be obvious to at least some of the villagers that Stonekeeper is lying. This is like Elaine from Seinfeld asking, and pray tell, what did the doorman say? Well, the doorman certainly has a wild imagination, doesn't he? Telephone? Yahoo? Hot email? Look, I'm all for hilarious sign gags, but what does this even mean? Why does it say call back at the bottom? Why would you need to misspell telephone?
Yeti.
What? I bet seeing a Yeti is a pretty crazy occurrence. Might even be so scary that it's the fourth thing you mention to this stranger after you've told him you were in a fiery plane crash. Then were yanked off the side of a f***ing mountain by your parachute, and you're probably in need of immediate medical care. I get that he's probably in a bit of shock and all, but did he really just trek all the way from wherever he landed without even taking the parachute off?
No wonder no one believes you.
We believe you.
Hi.
You know, these believer assholes aren't exactly shy about their beliefs. They were actively proselytizing to the kids earlier about the existence of Smallfoot, so why haven't they been thrown out of the village like Migo?
And don't tell Gwangi I said this, but he's a bit paranoid. Colta talks to rocks like they can hear her. I've been told I'm pesky.
Everyone in that f***ing village had a role, and was working to make the town run perfectly. So what role did the SES members play?
Look, I love my father, but he isn't exactly what you would call open to new ideas.
Dang it, Frozen Farley, that is not how air quotes work. They aren't a way of emphasizing something. They're a way to say something means something different than it does on the surface. It's called ironic sarcasm. Here's an example. This movie's gonna earn at least 10 awards for this moment alone. Because when I said awards, it really meant since. Got it now?
We have searched the entire mountain for years trying to find one.
Years? Between the 4 of them? How have they not found one even by accident? There's a village, like, within easy walking distance, and there must be hikers around if there are artifacts. Also, how did they even get out without anyone noticing them? I thought this was a closed society, where everyone had to be present and accounted for at all times. Damn it, it shouldn't be that hard of a narrative to follow.
Then there's this. The Scroll of Invisible Wisdom.
Har movie, but what the hell? They only have 4 human artifacts, but one of them is a cheap attempt at toilet humor? And how the did you even get this? What mountain hiker would ever leave an entire roll of what looks like very comfortable toilet paper behind?
Just imagine the amazing stuff they put on here.
Bunch of crap if you ask me.
We got jokes, y'all.
It's not just about tearing down old ideas. It's about finding new ones. You know what? Come with me.
Damn, that escalated quickly. If I were Migo, I'd be a little worried about what Michi means by new ideas. Let's talk about perspective, shall we? This fully crystallized snowflake on his finger is taking up just a little less space as the human boot we saw earlier, meaning the snowflake is roughly the size of a human foot.
Dig beneath the surface, find the lessons there to learn.
Jeez, lady, this is in the running to be the preachiest song of all f***ing time.
All these questions.
The hell's going on here? Is Migo taking her to Pleasure Town?
Okay, I'll go.
What? Why? Did those hallucinogens Michi clearly just used seriously change Migo's mind that fast? I guess LSD's a hell of a drug.
Definitely not enough rope.
We've already firmly established Looney Tunes physics in this movie, but come on, are we really going full Wile E. Coyote here? You never go full Wile E. Coyote. This surprisingly goes on for some time. Okay, I made a joke about Migo surviving the gong launcher mishaps, but this is full-on Yeti crap right here. It's not like Migo fell off a steep ledge or something. It was all the way down a goddamn mountain. Don't tell me that anything else in this movie is supposed to matter. Also, aren't mountains kind of mountain-shaped? How did he fall straight down for so long without hitting any sort of slope? Movie is betting hard that the audience is all in on the screaming goat meme. I actually don't mind so much, but I bet some kids were shocked to learn that this movie takes a hard turn into 127 hours territory.
That man has altitude sickness.
Are they still having this conversation? Since we left them, we've been through the finding of the secret skeptic society, a never-ending story about the nothing, an entire Zendaya song about what makes a wonderful life, coming up with a rope plan, the failure of the rope plan, and the non-stop mountain pratfall. I'm not saying it couldn't be the same day, but if it is, there is no way this argument about the pilot hasn't found some resolution by now.
We post the video, it goes viral, then boom, my ratings skyrocket.
Viral videos.
Picked up a suit in town this afternoon, and it's a cracker.
That's racist. Also, how convenient that you picked up that suit long before you bumped into the pilot that mentioned seeing a Yeti. It's almost like the writers knew it would happen.
I will take that money and give it to charity. That's how much integrity I will have.
Seriously, James Corden and Kevin Hart sure are duking it out for the most annoying voice acting competition. It's at this point that Percy's singing Under Pressure, and I have to ask, how dare you, movie? Queen? You think you can just use the amazing and timeless music of Queen to hide the fact that there is barely any substance to the trite shallowness you're putting on the screen? That kind of may win Golden Globes. We won't stand for it around here. Holy did Corden's character single-handedly turn this into Emoji Movie 2? Because I did not consent to that.
Okay, hair looks good.
I'm not gonna lie, as much as I've given it, I was right on the verge of mildly enjoying this derivative but cheery movie. But once Percy showed up, I'm having as much fun as watching Justin Bieber featured on Carpool Karaoke. From what we've heard, the Yeti roars are super loud to humans, but no one else in the bar can hear any of this? Himalayan booze must be some good
Smallfoot exists, suckers!
Sure, but isn't the bigger story here that there's something under the clouds? I know that Smallfoot is an important discovery that's inconsistent with the stones, but the fact that there's a foundation to this mountain contradicts everything the society is based on. I considered doing a bonus round for all the times Chatham Tanning screams in this movie, but honestly, I don't have the energy. Just trust me that it's a f***ing lot, and for that, I'll add 20 cents. Wait, when did the Yetis discover fire? There was none of that in the village, right? How would he even know what wood is, considering his entire society is covered in permafrost? Huh, I guess I have Comcast out in Nepal.
My husband is back there, sound asleep.
I'm sorry.
God damn it, yet another animated movie in which humans can't understand animals, but all the fucking animals, no matter what species, can understand each other. Except, I guess, for the goats, who just scream because they're dumb.
Don't be stupid, Percy. Do not go back to help the big ferocious Yeti.
Chicken Corden True here would be excellent at CinemaSins. Wait, those are stars, right? So where are the clouds? You know, the omnipresent manufactured steam clouds that extend well past this mountain and have kept the belief system of the Yetis in place for centuries?
We're almost there.
If Migo's never been down here before, how does he know this way up, and how much further it will be before they arrive at the top.
4 more Sasquatch.
Just a reminder that this little guy had a tooth violently knocked out of his head earlier that he won't even mention until some mid-credits scene days from now. You know, as one does. Not only has the Right Stuff parody been done a million times before and a million times better, it's even been done by monsters before in Monsters, Inc. Movie has achieved maximum derivative.
Honestly, I have just as many questions as you do.
Me too. Like, how does Percy's phone have any power left, considering he's been videoing this entire escapade? And early yesterday evening, it was already only at 2 bars of battery life.
You call that art?
YouTube comment sections. What's going on right now? Did they just invent the power of flight during the first verse of this song?
Do you see what you've started?
I guess. Where'd the Stonekeeper even go during this montage? He couldn't at least try to keep the harmful creative fervor down a bit?
I missed the gong, but the sky snail, it came up anyway.
Yeah, but there's no way this hasn't happened before, especially considering the time the sunrises would be different throughout the year, and they have no way of timing the gong perfectly. But hey, at least we get to experience Dad's extremely crucial B-plot that's exactly the same as the son's A-plot.
I've been banging my head on that thing to wake up a gas ball. That's usually what wakes me up.
Wow, a movie managed to cram Dorgal's entire existential crisis in between a poop and a fart joke.
I think it's about time I give you some answers.
Common knowledge.
That's right, we used to live down there. But there were actions we could not forgive down there.
Jeez, which way should I go here? The glut of syllables in that last line? The fact that common just rhymed down there with down there? I think the rap-splaining is the most offensive part. So here goes. Discount Hamilton. Look, we know Yetis aren't completely stupid, but the village is still super f***ing primitive. I mean, they travel by sticking their hands to a goddamn ice block. So who built this incredibly sophisticated system of chamber transportation? And if the Stonekeeper's the only one that uses it, why is it this f***ing big?
So none of those stones are true. They're all lies.
Good lies.
This movie is M. Night Shyamalan's The Village. The f***ing Village. Can you believe someone watched The f***ing Village and said, hey, that concept would kill as a kid's movie?
So let me share a secret that you'll learn as you grow older. What's true or not true is in the eye of the beholder.
For tonight's performance, the part of Stonekeeper will be played by Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
He wants to take my home away because of something called a variable interest rate.
I mean, anyone could have been the Smallfoot, and this movie would have been at least 90% more interesting. How about Brenda? Why couldn't she have been discovered by Migo?
There we go! Boom!
Candy Crush humor was understandable 6 years ago when Wreck-It Ralph did it, and beyond played out by the time Emoji Movie did it, so I'm not even sure what to call it now. Desperate? Pathetic? Desperate-thetic? Yeah, let's go with that.
It's not a Smallfoot. Yeah, I was wrong. I got confused.
Man, Migo is the easiest motherfucker in the world to convince to do something. Apparently just sing him a song, and he'll capitulate to whatever you want.
These are lies, Migo. We saw you go below the clouds.
You know, for voice talent, LeBron James sure is an excellent basketball player.
We need to talk.
I think you've said enough.
An underrated quality possessed by the Stonekeeper is the ability to suddenly cause a protagonist fight before the climax of the movie cliche.
I was pretty happy when I didn't know about the Smallfoot.
Hey, me too. But then Chris put it on the schedule, and I was like, hey, what the hell's that? And now we're in the same boat, Migo.
I feel like such a jerk.
You know, they've been talking for a good while since Dorgal woke up, and every other time we've seen the gong wrong, they've gone right out to do the slingshot thing. So what's taking the sun so long to come up? Does it have a sense of dramatic timing?
What have I done?
Well, it's really been a systematic subterfuge that's been in place for hundreds of years, and has involved who knows how many previous elders that held this knowledge, but sure, man, make it all about you. You thought I was kidding when I mentioned how much screaming there was in this movie, didn't you? Didn't you?
Okay, pros and cons.
Movie has time for this.
What?
I know, right? How the did she get all the way to Kathmandu without anyone seeing you assholes?
Hi!
The director said, let's draw your character with an apple when you react to the Yeti. It'll make you look like even more of an asshole than those mutton chops. Hey, you, get the hell out of here with that banana crap. And what the hell kind of exotic hooch is this lady drinking? Sorry, I got off track. So you're an asshole.
Wow, those are fast!
And super convenient, considering there was no traffic at all going through these streets when Michi was wandering around for several minutes.
I think I found her.
Come on, man, there is no way this city is this close to the Yak Shack, or we would have seen it before now. This is like suddenly finding out Gotham City is just across the bay from Metropolis. Yes, that's definitely the first thing I do in this incredibly well-lit city center when confronted with a large mammal I know nothing about.
Michi, we're here. It's okay.
Even though there was an entire police force tracking Michi, it's amazingly simple to find a hideout where 4 large Yetis can easily hide in this city.
They're terrible creatures.
Not only that, they can't even sketch to scale. I mean, look at how f***ing small that Yeti is. This Pac-Man gag is just clever enough to make me realize how unclever the rest of the movie is.
I'm not gonna get him before I do!
Can I get a current update on the status of these streets? Because the ones that can easily accommodate a snowmobile should not be the same ones on which the cruisers can easily navigate.
Huh?
You know what they say, let he who is without any regard for human life in this helicopter cast the first stone.
What are those things?
If memory serves, the bad guys at the end of Die Hard 2.
Just a publicity stunt for ratings.
Even if they somehow thought that Percy Haxon here was behind one of the creatures that just completely rampaged their town, how do they explain the other two creatures, which look completely different, that hundreds of people saw? Not to mention how much phone video evidence there should be.
Well, there goes my fame.
Yeah, but you have something better. Integrity.
How does Brenda know this? She wasn't in the woods when Percy shot Migo up, and it's not like he's had time to explain everything to her. The only thing more idiotic than the fact that this phone isn't lost, broken, or dead by now is that he would delete these pictures instead of backing them up somewhere for safekeeping, at least until he figured out a better way to introduce Yetis to the world.
I love that little guy. I love you guys too.
Don't do drugs, kids, even if they make it look like you'd have a bitchin' time on them, just like Migo here.
And I know that I said it wasn't a small flip, but that wasn't true. And I'm sorry that I lied to you.
And you should totally believe me now, even though I've changed my story several times within the last 48 hours. Nearly 30 straight seconds of standing and looking at each other. This fireworks shop had all of its merchandise explode at the same time, so there's no way there to even be a building here to clean up, let alone a sign. Not since Kendall Jenner used a can of Pepsi to unite us all has a police force so completely and easily converted to peace. Also, you could just tell everyone what the deal is, to fully contextualize the arrival of the Yeti and allay any concerns, right? Use your words, Percy. Use your words!
I will name him George, and I will hug him and pet him and squeeze him.
As you might have heard, we recently announced the inaugural year of Sin Week. It's coming up soon.
Holy sh**!
Sin Week is an e-convention that you can access at all levels of patronage. We'll have 5 CinemaSins videos that week for members, panels, a live podcast, and much more.
Oh, you have no idea.
And if you're signed up at the top tier, you're eligible to attend Sin Week in person. Hang out with Chris, Jeremy, and the Sins gang in beautiful Nashville, Tennessee.
Ray took his ass to Nashville.
You'll be teeing it up at Topgolf. You'll even be treated to some great food.
Faye, this is so scrumptious.
If you haven't already, sign up today at patreon.com/cinemasins. Join the club.
We accept that one of us. Google Gobble, one of us.
Zendaya is Michi, and LeBron James is Gwangi. Look at everybody there. No day.
We might see some octopuses.
No day. Oh, holy wowness!
Language.
Mankind, that word should have new meaning for all of us today. We will be united in our common interest. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
Stop that. You're not going into a song while I'm here.
Hi, I'm Migo.
Welcome to the Himalayas!
Movie is not a documentary on why no one has made a good Legend of Zelda movie yet. There is only one set of footprints in this sand, which makes sense, because the only way I'm getting through this overly dramatic intro is if God carries me.
His tea is tepid, Mr. Lint.
Mr. Lint will do our job for us in a second, but him. It's amazing the tea isn't ice cold, considering you've been on the water for so long it took this animated dolly shot 7 seconds to get to where you are. Your complaint about the tepid tea is weak tea, sir. Yeah, this is a cartoon, alright, but you're asking me to buy that a horn would make any noticeable sound underwater? I'll wait for the comments down below that will insist I'm wrong before I finally decide to ignore those people and go on believing this anyway. Look, I know the movie is in on the joke, but I had a neighbor who used to practice playing modern pop music on his bagpipe every frickin' night. So until you've heard a man squeeze sexy back out of Satan's bladder for the 17th time, you can't stop me from adding this sip. Loch Ness Monster. More like rudeness monster, am I right? Also, monsters should really chew their food better. Messy Nessie had more undigested food in her throat than Marlon Brando after visiting craft services on the set of The Island of Dr. Moreau. Lionel lassos the Loch Ness Monster, and somehow it's not strong enough to pull him or Lint into the water while they hold onto the rope. Lint survives this. I guess the Loch Ness Monster's teeth are so far apart that she grabbed Lint with her gums. I feel like even that is worthy of a survives this.
I'll make absolutely sure you don't get eaten again. I promise.
You said that last time.
You mean this guy's been eaten and lived to tell the tale more than once? This mild door slamming is enough to shake the room and knock this dodo bird thing off so that the movie can focus on this suddenly revealed and apt evolutionary chart. I'm not sure what he's looking for in that bag, but I know he never finds it and never mentions it again. Maybe he was looking for an easy joke.
Why don't you show us what proof you found in the loch?
Seriously though, why don't you? I mean, I know we're going for the full nobody believes me, complete with a snooty club that won't let me in cliché here, but you've got your own first-hand account. A witness, evidence of a boat being thrown through a rock wall, and a proven working way to lure it out again. There's at least enough evidence here to give it a shot, right?
Neither ape nor man, but the link in between.
We've got nut punch jokes, y'all.
But think of it. Evidence of man's primitive ancestry. The missing link.
Roll Darwin's.
I say we are descended from great men, not great apes.
I sure am glad this controversy ends in 1925 with the Scopes trial and we never had to argue about it again, and we can focus on less controversial topics, like the fact that we're living in a simulation. Also, it was pretty obvious he was going to drop that precious artifact, and Frosty the Showman was right there to catch it, so why didn't he?
You do not belong here, and you will fail.
Let me guess, by the end of this movie, Lionel will have a massive character change from an asshole to a human being, and he's going to say, "You were right about one thing, Lord Piggott Dunsby. I don't belong here," before walking out in triumph.
You'll never be one of us.
Quite right. I never shall.
I think that's pretty close, so here's a sin. Also, I'm wondering something. These guys seem to hate Sir Lionel because he spends his time chasing mythical creatures nobody believes in, and has yet to prove their existence. But how did he become a sir in this society if he hasn't accomplished anything yet? Later we find out that he's a known playboy who squandered his wealth, and I can't imagine why knighting would occur because of that.
Electricity, suffrage, evolution.
Hey man, say all you want about certain things, but you take that back about electricity. If you're wondering how they did the stop motion on this water, they didn't. It's a visual effect. You know why? Because it's easier. That's why. This is a sin for you wanting to make their job harder, you jerk. Lionel's essentially traveling by map here, but why is he charting a course? He's taking trains, right? I'm assuming they'll take him where he needs to go. I'm sure we're going for some sort of sexuality joke here that I'm not even sure I get, but if you're trying to file through your prison bar this slowly and publicly in broad daylight, you're either going to get caught or not break out until partway through the 23rd century. Yeah, I've been to this place in Red Dead Redemption 2. The chimney has about $50. Someone left behind a cigarette card featuring great men of science. Overall, it's disappointing. Got mauled by a cougar out here, too. Lionel insta-finds Bigfoot as soon as he gets to the place he's rumored to be, which is remarkable. It's almost like he shouldn't even be a legend and just a widely known fact at this point.
How can you speak? Good question. How can I speak? Well, I watched it first. I listened.
I'm totally willing to overlook how Sasquatch can read, talk, and write, even though it's total nonsense. But what I really want to know is how he got this outrageously 2019 speaking inflection.
Look at the size of those metatarsals.
Whoa, sir! Wow, your hands!
The metatarsals are a part of the foot, so unless you've got a foot fetish, this is a weird time to get all shocked and embarrassed. The movie has been very weird about not telling us what the year is. These newspapers only show the month and day. And when he looked at the tag on the Bigfoot cast, the date of discovery was merely 3/15. This isn't some weird sci-fi movie trying to be timeless, so I don't understand why they're being coy with the year.
They talk of this creature. He's a snowman.
He wouldn't be abominable, would he? Is that why we're doing this movie? Why, yes it is. Don't worry, we'll do Endgame in so it's coming soon. Also, this newspaper somehow has the movie script written on it.
I think these Yetis are my cousins.
Convenient Cave's position is convenient.
I give you my word.
Okay, what is it?
Oh, come on, movie. This Sasquatch has a full vocabulary and library of books. You can't just make us think he would misunderstand a common figure of speech like he's Yakov Smirnoff. Despite this town's hoppin' saloon, there is conveniently nobody out and about who can see Link before Lionel throws a blanket over him. I see Leica Studios isn't afraid to plumb the depths of humor to crack us up, cheeky bastards. This blanket somehow works as a disguise because once you put one over a Bigfoot, people start missing all the visible non-human parts. Drinks were strong back then.
Lionel Frost.
So this guy was hired to kill Lionel and he just happens to be in the saloon at the same time? Gotta hand it to this movie. It's trying to be as short as possible, so everything's super convenient.
There's one that has eluded you for 30 years or more.
If this stank guy has been looking for Sasquatch for 30 years and has somehow been missing him when he's clearly the easiest rare creature to find in the world, then how does he have a world-renowned reputation for finding said creatures? You see, the alpha has a frequency that all the other creatures respond to and do its bidding. I almost kept a straight face. King of the monsters. Sexual harassment. Also, this movie was released over a month before John Wick 3, which obviously means John Wick blatantly copied this horse murder, and is therefore complete trash.
Frost must not succeed. Get word to Stink, and tell him to stay on their trail.
These are some seriously unnecessary orders. Didn't he tell Stink to kill Frost in the first telegram?
So how did Mr. Fortnite die exactly?
Probably trying to teach the Yetis how to do the orange justice. Just guessing.
Don't stop fidgeting, Mr. Link. You mustn't draw attention to yourself.
I was fine going along with this ruse, because, cartoons got a tune and all. all, but if the movie itself keeps pretending like it's making a good faith effort at him actually getting away with this, I have to call bull. Movies always tell you that the protagonist can search a room all he wants and move place to place without the other person hearing all the commotion behind them. Unseen equals unheard.
You and Aldous, what happened to you?
Yes, please. More backstory involving a love story. Please. How would we ever survive without it?
Here, now, throw this rope over the wall.
Lionel trusts a Bigfoot to know what he means by this, leading to comic hijinks we can all enjoy.
Then get it over to the window and throw it out into the bushes. I'll keep watch.
But you weren't keeping watch earlier, while Link tried to pry open the safe with the crowbar. So why do you need to keep watch now? Is it so you won't be here when Link also screws these orders up?
Why didn't you just play a trumpet and sing the Star-Spangled Banner while you're at it?
I could give it a try. Oh, but I don't have a trumpet, and I don't know that song that well.
Even though Adelina is foiled here, in the very next scene she catches up to Lionel and Link at the train station, as if her only obstacle in catching up to them was changing out of her nightgown into this dress. This is all a way to get Adelina into the action, and considering all the events we've seen to get to this point, I wish she just wanted to tag along in the first place and we could have skipped the last 5 minutes. Stink shows up, and while it's true he knew they would be coming to Santa Ana after the saloon scene, he didn't know they would be at the train station this morning, so this is some lucky nonsense.
This can't be... What is that exactly?
Link pretending to know something and then asking what it is 85% of the jokes in this movie.
It has been called many names. Shambhala, Agartha, Valley of the Blue Moon.
Is he talking about his genitals? I feel like he's talking about his genitals.
Actually, Aldous believed that this story was not quite right.
While I admire Leica's attempt to explain all this stuff, I'm wondering how the Under 6 set is reacting to this 5-minute carriage ride of exposition. Does it involve a temper tantrum? Can I join?
Early man.
Kubo, Anomalisa. Sorry, I thought we were just saying stop-motion movies better than this one.
I'm a quiet guy at heart, but do you mind if I just kind of growl a little bit in excitement?
There's nothing worse than someone who asks permission to do something and then does it immediately without waiting for an answer. Linda.
I really didn't think it was possible. And yet, here you are in front of my face.
Blah, blah, the real missing link was in our hearts all along, moving along movie. The only thing that's keeping me from being bored out of my skull are these incredible visuals. Artistically, it's obvious that Leica gives a and for that I shall trade you back a sin.
Oh, now, steady on.
So, you have a Jurassic Park sequel for me? Yes, sir, I do. Very, very exciting. So what happens in this thing? Well, you know how in the first movie the dinosaurs kept trying to eat the children, but they never got to? Yeah. Well, I figure it might be nice if at the beginning of this movie they, get one. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, they work so hard, I figure we throw them a bone of a child. That's okay. So anyway, later we see Ian Malcolm, right? And he gets called to John Hammond's mansion. They're both from the first movie. They sure are, sir. And Hammond is like, guess what, Ian? It turns out there was another island this whole time. Whoa. Whoa, you'd think he would have mentioned that to him in the first movie. You'd think so, but no, because they only use this island for breeding and raising the dinosaurs, and then they bring them over to the other island. So that laboratory from the first movie with the eggs and stuff, that was hopefully forgotten by everyone in the audience. Gotcha. So anyway, Hammond is like, my nephew took InGen from me, and he wants to go to this island and grab some dinosaurs from there. Uh-oh. So he's like, I need you to go to the island with a team and take pictures of the dinosaurs so there's public interest in keeping them there. So who's on the team? Well, he already has a tech equipment guy and a photographer and a paleontologist. So why does he need an expert in chaos theory there? Well, because he was in the first movie. Right, yeah. But I mean, it's gonna be hard to convince him to go after what he went through in the first movie. Actually, it's gonna be super easy. Barely an inconvenience. Oh, really? Yeah, because see, it turns out that Hammond already sent Ian's girlfriend there. She's there right now. She's the paleontologist, Sarah. She went by herself to a dinosaur island despite knowing what Ian went through and the trauma that probably caused him. Yeah, because see, the thing about Sarah is that she's, the worst. Oh, she is. Okay. Yeah. So Ian goes to the island. He sure does, sir. So they get to the island and Sarah decides to pet a baby stegosaurus and piss off its parents. Oh, she is the worst. She sure is, sir. And then it turns out that Ian's daughter is there too. She snuck onto a trailer that was loaded up with all the equipment. Oh, and why'd you put her in the movie? Like, what role is she gonna play story-wise? Well, see, I want Ian Malcolm to have someone to care about on the island, somebody to rescue, kind of his motivation. Wasn't he going there to save his girlfriend? Oh, yeah. Well, whoopsie. Well, so his daughter's gonna be there too. She's gonna be in the movie and present. Well, okay then. Anyway, so Sarah tells everyone that, you know, they can't mess around. If they so much as bend a blade of grass, the whole research is ruined. She literally just pet a dinosaur. The worst. Right, the worst. And then some bad guys from InGen show up and they just capture a whole bunch of dinosaurs. Oh no. Yeah, and this one hunter guy, all he wants to do is kill a big T-Rex, so he takes a baby T-Rex to draw the parents out. So what do the good guys do? Well, they let the dinosaurs out of their cages, and the photographer guy, Nick, he takes the baby T-Rex because he cares about nature and stuff. He what? Yeah, and then he and Sarah try to fix this baby T-Rex's leg inside their trailer because they're like, well, he's gonna die in the wild if we let him go. Oh, very obviously a bad idea, no matter what your values are. Yeah, it turns out it was a bad idea. Yeah, because the parents show up and they bump the trailer off the side of a cliff. Probably shouldn't have set up their trailers near a cliff with massive dinosaurs walking around. Probably not, so then the tech guy gets eaten and the InGen people show up to help. Oh, so they're all together now? They sure are, sir, and they need to make it to a communication building in another part of the island. And how does that go? Oh, not well. See, characters start doing insanely stupid things that leads to them getting eaten by dinosaurs. How dumb are we talking here? One guy sees a snake in his shirt, so he runs directly into the mouth of a T-Rex. Oh, whoops. Whoopsie. And also Sarah walks around with a t-shirt covered in the baby T-Rex's blood, even though she knows that T-Rexes have the best sense of smell there is. Well, another guy has to pee, so he wanders off into the forest alone and gets lost. He walks alone into the forest he knows is filled with deadly dinosaurs. Yeah. Oh, risking your life so nobody sees your ding-dong is tight. It sure is, sir. And then at a certain point, we're just gonna get rid of all the extras by having them walk through some tall grass that has raptors in it. Oh my god, well how did the main characters get through? Well, when they walk through, there aren't any raptors. Why? Unclear. That works. But later on, they are gonna run into some raptors, and Ian's daughter is gonna kick one out of a window using gymnastics. What? Yep, she knows gymnastics, so she kicks a raptor out of a window and it gets impaled, and then everyone's happy. They put everybody's lives in danger to save a T-Rex, but now they're happy about a dead raptor? That's right. Very inconsistent values. And so then a helicopter shows up and they leave the island. Wow, well, you know what? That's definitely a fun movie, and I think... And then later in San Diego... Wait, what? Well, they're all in San Diego later, and a cargo ship crashes. Really felt like the movie was over. Well, it's not. We're gonna tack this thing on. Well, okay then. So they go on this boat, and they see that the whole crew has been eaten by a T-Rex. What? Where's the T-Rex? Well, it's locked down in the cargo hold, and they accidentally set it loose when they get on the boat. So it killed everybody on the boat and then got back in the cargo hold and closed the door? That's what we're going with. And so then this T-Rex rampages around San Diego for about 10 minutes and then gets back in the cargo hold, and, you know, that's it. Oh, well, okay. I gotta say, I feel like this whole San Diego thing is kind of unnecessary. Yeah, so is it done now? Do you have any other short films you want to tack on to the end of this thing? No, that's it. It's all done. So what do you think? Well, I think it's a ton of fun. I'm just kind of wondering, like, what's Ian's story, you know? Like, what's his arc? Oh, well, at the beginning of the movie, he kind of tells people, I told you so, but at the end of the movie, he tells a lot of people, I told you so. Oh, that is growth. Yeah, and pretty much the whole time, every single one of his lines is going to be designed to sound good in a movie trailer. Oh, okay. Is something funny? I was just thinking it'd be funny if in a future movie, we just have him do, like, one scene, you know, just so we could put it in the trailer. Oh my god, that'd be hilarious. Hey guys, it's Ryan here. Hope you enjoyed that pitch meeting. We have a ton of these on the channel.
What's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
My name is Alex Mercer. I'm the reason for all of this. They call me a killer, a monster, a terrorist. I'm all of these things.
Hero or villain? Good or evil? Right or wrong? For years, characters in superhero games were presented in these absolutes, with little in the way of nuance or ambiguity. In the late 2000s, however, the genre saw the anti-hero rise to prominence, with titles like The Darkness, Infamous, and Darksiders offering players an opportunity to be so much more than the Man of Steel or the Mad Titan. Radical Entertainment's Prototype provided one such experience. The short-lived action franchise initially hit the PC, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360 with Prototype's release in the summer of 2009. Radical Entertainment and publisher Activision Blizzard believed they had an instant success on their hands. Both parties needed it to succeed, at least, given the risk involved in developing a new intellectual property, not to mention its arrival at the tail end of America's Great Recession. In an effort to mitigate this risk, Prototype's protagonist, Alex Mercer, and the conspiratorial world of intrigue in which he operated were designed with sequels in mind. And one sequel it did indeed receive, in the form of Prototype 2, which launched in April of 2012. Still, none of the studio's efforts, no matter how inventive, were enough to attract the interest of a mass audience and secure Activision's approval for a third Prototype installment. Unfortunately, the future of these superpowered adventures were not all that suffered from the franchise's inability to pick up steam. The resulting demise of Radical Entertainment proved equally devastating for a studio that had long delighted players with quality experiences. This is the history of Prototype. Following its founding in 1991, the Vancouver-based Radical Entertainment primarily developed relatively unremarkable games of the licensed and sports variety. By the time Vivendi Games acquired the studio in 2005, however, Radical had obtained considerable renown, courtesy of Crash Bandicoot entries and licensed titles such as Hulk and The Simpsons Hit and Run. The Vivendi purchase didn't alter much in terms of Radical's operations, though. In fact, subsequent years saw the developer produce 2 more Crash Bandicoot games in addition to the generally well-received Scarface, The World Is Yours. It was in the summer of 2005 that the team's creative heads, namely executive producer Tim Benison and writers Dennis Dittwiller and Eric Holmes, began conceptualizing the idea that would eventually become Prototype. Radical fully understood the risk in transitioning from exclusively developing known properties to crafting an entirely novel one. Benison told the Georgia Straight as much in 2008, explaining that production costs for an original IP were high, while recognizable franchises sold more reliably. But the appeal of a fresh idea's success potentially culminating in further financial rewards, particularly if it birthed a franchise in its own right, made Radical's developers eager to embark on a project of their own design. After all, no one wanted to simply create a one-off, remarked then studio president Kelly Zmack during a 2008 interview. Yet the rigors of the video game market dictated that such desires were not merely enough. Radical also needed to produce something lucrative, an ongoing series to sustain the then 15-year-old studio, and to everyone involved in its production. Prototype seemed the perfect candidate to fit that bill. Announced in August of 2007, Prototype was touted as a ruthless power fantasy slated for a summer 2008 release. Players would assume the role of Alex Mercer, an amnesiac who awoke in a New York City morgue with no recollection of his identity or the happenings in the world around him. While discovering his newfound superpowers compounded Mercer's state of confusion, they also offered him a host of abilities that fueled the power fantasy, which players would engage in via an open-world map set in Manhattan. Titanium, Radical's proprietary game engine, powered the ambitious action-adventure, and thanks to its onboard physics system, the studio was able to achieve solid simulation of various AI-driven elements, freely moving pedestrians, vehicles, and enemies among them, making for a dense and dynamic open world. As a result, gamers who invested in Prototype did more than merely interact with its Manhattan setting. They had the ability to rain unprecedented levels of destruction down on the city and Mercer's adversaries. His special powers were marketed as an integral part of Prototype's appeal, considering contemporaneous sandbox games predominantly centered on gangster narratives. Few experiences, then, allowed for an extensive range of mobility beyond operating motor vehicles, and none were capable of presenting the sheer amount of carnage on display in Prototype. The game's dynamic traversal options manifested in Mercer's gliding, wall-running, jumping, and dashing skills. In myriad ways, these abilities worked in tandem with his absorption-based powers, a byproduct of the blacklight virus whose infection gave him biomass consumption and shape-shifting abilities. One example of the ruination caused by Radical's clever meddling of these skills came in the form of an elbow-dropping wrestling-like upgrade that could decimate military tanks. In many respects, it all seemed an exercise in violence for the sake of violence. Alex Mercer was no hero. He wasn't a pure villain either, according to what Activision's associate brand manager Steve Fuller shared in an interview with Videogamer.com. Instead, Radical designed Mercer as an ultra-violent anti-hero, inspired by the likes of Robert De Niro's Taxi Driver character and Hannibal Lecter. This characterization found Prototype's protagonist on a revenge quest to uncover the truth about his past. Anyone who stood in his way, even innocent bystanders, were likely to become unsuspecting victims of his wrath. The gratuitous violence that stemmed from Prototype's action-packed gameplay functioned within a morally gray framework, an attempt on the part of Radical to avoid the usual polarization of ethical dilemmas in video games. During a Eurogamer preview, marketing lead Chris Ansel explained that with an anti-hero at their fingertips, players could determine the shades of gray themselves. Radical's disinterest in exploring morality most notably informed the overall design philosophy for Prototype, which emphasized ultimate freedom and ultimate choice. Whatever the team imagined a player would want to do, they worked to make it possible. The execution of the studio's vision did endure a fair few hardships, though most may have not proven too detrimental in hindsight. During the middle of production, for example, Radical Entertainment's parent company underwent an organizational shift when Vivendi and Activision merged to form Activision Blizzard late in 2007. Fuller speculated that Prototype counted among the handful of projects that Activision retained because it gave the publisher the opportunity to enter the open-world genre of games with something interesting and new. Several months thereafter, the game was delayed to give Radical the time necessary to fully realize the potentially groundbreaking adventure audiences were anticipating. This same period also brought about the unceremonious cancellation of Prototype's planned cooperative component. However, its abandonment allowed the developer to focus all of its resources on crafting a solid single-player experience. The year-long delay did have one coincidental effect on marketing, specifically with regards to press coverage. Prototype's push to 2009 resulted in it having to compete with Sucker Punch Productions' Infamous, another sandbox superhero game that emphasized the thrill of unconventional traversal and comic book-inspired abilities. To a degree, both titles were created in a vacuum. Therefore, neither Radical nor Sucker Punch were aware of each other's work in progress. Infamous creative director Nate Fox echoed this sentiment in a Vice retrospective, revealing that he first heard about Prototype while watching G4, long after his project's E3 2007 unveiling. Despite sharing a similar concept, Infamous and Prototype differed quite drastically. Prototype's gameplay relied heavily on brawler mechanics, whereas the combat in Infamous prioritized range attacks. In addition, the good versus evil dichotomy ingrained in Sucker Punch's game informed the intensity of protagonist Cole McGrath's abilities. The more heroic his behavior, the more precise his powers. On the contrary, excessive acts of villainy evolved his power set into something quite destructive. Prototype's lack of choice on this front, as well as Alex Mercer's preset anti-heroic characterization, fostered an arguably unmatched visceral gameplay experience, whereby players could eviscerate NPCs without moral consequence. This level of disparity didn't stop media outlets from pitting one against the other, however. Due to Infamous's PlayStation 3 exclusivity, the media-contrived competition additionally contributed to the PS3 and Xbox 360 console war, especially since the game's release 2 weeks apart. Neither seemed to suffer in terms of sales, though. Moving a relatively meager 192,000 copies in the United States, Infamous managed to outsell Prototype on the PlayStation 3 in June of 2009. But Radical's superhero venture shifted approximately 420,000 units in the same month on the Xbox 360 alone. Regardless, both sold appreciably enough to warrant the release of sequels, with Prototype going on to sell 2.1 million copies as of early 2012. Prototype raked in considerable critical success, too, reviewing favorably across the board. Unsurprisingly, the variety of powers received much of the praise. Gameplay-wise, critics and gamers alike agreed Radical's initial attempt at a new IP suffered mightily from bizarre controls and combat encounters that were often too hectic. Strikingly unpolished visuals that failed to reflect the look of real-life Manhattan earned Prototype a few knocks as well. Though many found the conspiracy-laden narrative intriguing at the very least, Alex Mercer became quite the divisive figure. Mercer's disregard for his fellow New Yorkers only magnified his penchant for violence, an off-putting trait that made the character unlikable to some. Radical's VP of Technology, Dave Fracchia, addressed this in a Eurogamer interview ahead of Prototype 2's launch, while sharing the team's hope that players would easily take a shine to the franchise's new protagonist, Sergeant James Heller. Yet despite being a shot in the right direction, the follow-up would prove to have a difficult time overcoming its predecessor's flaws. Activision Blizzard's investment in Prototype 2 meant Radical Entertainment's creatives were able to fulfill their dream of building an original franchise. Shortly after the first installment's launch, the team began pouring through player feedback and critic reviews, all in an effort to improve upon Prototype's shortcomings. One criticism in particular concerned its dull-looking environments. Associate producer Jonathan Lim told Complex that to remedy such issues for the follow-up, Radical built the Titanium game engine to push it as far as possible, giving rise to Titanium Engine 2. Other major changes between the original Prototype and its successor included a new playable character in James Heller, clearer character motivations, refined controls, and an updated arsenal. A number of these innovations were featured in Prototype 2's debut trailer when Radical revealed the title during the 2010 VGAs, showing off Heller and the promise of a 2012 release. Despite the hype generated by Radical's announcement, not all fans were thrilled by the prospect of playing a character other than Alex Mercer. Speaking with Digital Spy weeks ahead of Prototype 2's launch, Frakia claimed some gamers were so offended by the change that they threatened to not purchase the sequel at all. To allay these concerns, Radical posted 2 separate videos, one explaining why Mercer didn't return in the leading role, the second detailing Heller's background. Interestingly, the team struggled with how to proceed after the events of Prototype, which saw Mercer unleash the Blacklight virus in New York's Penn Station, consequently infecting the whole city. A core question regarding the franchise's future was how best to challenge Mercer himself, a figure who essentially became godlike. One early idea revolved around the removal of Mercer's powers. Worried this would ruin his character, Radical decided against it. Enter James Heller, a military sergeant who'd been deployed in Afghanistan during the events of the first Prototype and returned home to find his wife and daughter dead because of the ensuing chaos that spawned from the virus's dispersal. Blaming Mercer gave Heller an emotional motivation with which players could empathize. This premise additionally solved Radical's conundrum of how to challenge its former leading man. The answer rested in twisting Mercer into the antagonist, placing him in the crosshairs of another overly powered being, another Prototype, the perfect opposition. That Mercer also infected Heller heightened the intrigue. Radical hoped said intrigue and the video explanations would bring the series back into the good graces of previously disgruntled fans. Beyond the shift to a new playable character, Radical further augmented the world of Prototype by drastically redesigning its New York City setting and overhauling the gameplay. Devastated by Mercer's release of the Blacklight virus, the world-famous metropolis quickly morphed into something unrecognizable in the 14 months between Prototype and Prototype 2. Consequently, the city became known as New York Zero, a police state divided into red, yellow, and green zones, each contaminated by varied levels of infection. Unlike the original entry, though, Prototype 2 did not permit players to leisurely explore the city from the start. In an attempt to shepherd gamers through a more comprehensible story, the 3 unique districts were made accessible one at a time, driving players forward and leaving them curious about what their continued progression entailed. The tools players used in their venture through New York Zero and Prototype 2's Tale of Vengeance similarly received a revamp. This was thanks in large part to Radical adjusting the pace of combat in response to critiques about the first installment. In altering the overall presentation, the studio slowed down the camera and provided a much better view of the battlefield. Changes of this nature additionally introduced strategic elements, such as tactical dodges and increased attack times, giving gamers greater command over the moment-to-moment gameplay. And with an evolved suite of abilities, this degree of control bolstered the incredible combat from Prototype, while equipping players with unparalleled dominance. One skill in particular was touted above the rest: tendrils. Associate producer Jonathan Lim told Complex, tendrils functioned as intelligent webs, forces capable of stringing enemies up, in addition to serving as a black hole-like ability that draws objects in and implodes. Mutations represented yet another new addition to an already expansive arsenal, acting as perks that customized Heller with power-ups via a limited number of slots. Ultimately, however, tweaks to Prototype's basic formula would fail to yield the results that Radical and Activision hoped they would achieve.
Now we're talking. Release!
By and large, critics felt Radical's efforts didn't translate well to the final product, as Prototype 2's April 2012 release was primarily met with mixed reviews. Most critics agreed that while the tragic deaths of Heller's loved ones made for a compelling backstory, Heller himself represented little more than a crude cliché, whose characterization hinged on excessive vulgarity, unmitigated rage, and hardly anything else of substance. The overarching narrative wasn't well received either, failing to improve upon the weak foundation laid by its predecessor. In fact, many argued the sequel's dull and predictable plot left much to be desired, resulting in an incredibly forgettable tale. Missions and the open world fared no better, due to repetitive tasks, scant side quests, and few incentives for players to remain invested. The new unlockable abilities ensured the series' improved gameplay felt rewarding though. Plus, a refined combat system gave way to a great deal of mindless fun, as did the streamlined controls and well-crafted traversal mechanics. Yet, several reviewers contended these enhancements were hindered by Heller's inelegant animations, as well as a bothersome lack of challenge in combat situations. User reviews indicate fans more or less agreed with the general critical consensus. However, there were players who posed a fascinating theory about Prototype 2's malign shortcomings, reasoning that the absence of challenge fueled the mindless fun and guaranteed players were always in control of the ultimate superhuman. But no rationale could save Radical's action-packed sequel from a soft market performance. By June of 2012, estimates suggested the title had sold a dismal 390,000 units across the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, a stark contrast to the 420,000 units moved by the original game in a month on one console. Radical's dream of building an expansive franchise was cut short within months of Prototype 2's release, with Activision significantly reducing Radical's staff in June of 2012, effectively shuttering the Vancouver-based studio. In a statement, Activision noted that though it invested heavily in Prototype, the IP failed to find a broad commercial audience. No doubt the lackluster sales of Prototype 2 acted as a catalyst for such a move. A reduction in staff meant Radical ceased development of its own projects, including early plans for Prototype 3, which were revealed via leaked screenshots in 2019. Employees who remained were reassigned to support roles on other Activision-published ventures. Radical continues to function in some capacity, as evidenced by it receiving credit as a support team on Bungie's Destiny. Interestingly, however, a listing on Activision's website makes no mention of the studio being involved with the abysmally reviewed 2015 release of Prototype Biohazard Bundle, a PS4 and Xbox One remaster of both titles that Activision launched without a traditional reveal. Thus, it appears Radical is but a lingering ghost of the ambitious studio that once set out to awe gamers with its remarkable creativity. And still, the Prototype faithful maintain a semblance of hope for a third installment. For now, though, the carnage, mindless fun, and sheer brutality that powered the adventures of anti-heroes Alex Mercer and James Heller will simply have to be relived in the memories of those who cherish them most. Thank you for watching. We'd like to take this time to thank, by name, the generous patrons who have pledged to our Hall of Fame reward tier. Maktoum Saeed Al Maktoum, Paul Cousineau, and those currently subscribed to our